Victoria Sterling's Louboutin heel slammed into Destiny's hip with savage force. "You think you can put your filthy hands on his mother? You worthless black maid." She grabbed the 78-year-old Eleanor Whitmore by the collar and shoved her backward. The elderly woman's head struck the armrest of the antique chair. Her heart medication scattered across the marble floor like broken promises. "I'll destroy you," Victoria hissed at Destiny, who was crawling toward Eleanor's trembling body. "And when Marcus gets here, he'll believe every single word I say. Because who's going to trust a servant over his future wife?" She picked up a crystal vase and hurled it at Destiny's head. Before we continue this incredible story, I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel and follow Destiny's journey until the very end. Please comment below with the city you're watching from, so I can see how far this story has traveled around the world. Now let's continue. The vase shattered against the wall. A shard sliced Destiny's cheek, but she kept crawling toward Eleanor. "Mrs. Whitmore." Destiny reached the elderly woman and pulled her close. "Can you hear me? Look at me, please." Eleanor's eyes were unfocused. Her hand clutched her chest. Her breathing came in short, desperate gasps. Victoria stood over them. "I told you to stay in your place. She needs her medication." Destiny's voice shook but held firm. Her heart is none of your damn business." Victoria kicked Eleanor's pill bottle across the room. White tablets scattered everywhere. Destiny pulled Eleanor tighter against her body. "Whatever you have against me, take it out on me. Leave her alone. She's 78 years old." Victoria laughed. "You think I care how old she is? That woman has been poisoning Marcus against me since day one. Every time I want to move her to a nursing home, she cries to him. Every time I want to redecorate this dump, she whines about memories. She's a parasite, and so are you." "She loves her son. That's not a crime." "Love." Victoria's face twisted. "She doesn't love him. She controls him. And you've been helping her. Don't think I haven't noticed your little whispered conversations. You turned her against me." "That's not true. Mrs. Whitmore has never said anything bad about you." "Liar!" Victoria lunged forward and grabbed Destiny's hair. She yanked hard, pulling Destiny's head back until her neck screamed with pain. But Destiny didn't let go of Eleanor. "You're going to regret ever stepping foot in this house," Victoria whispered into Destiny's ear. "When I'm done with you, no one in Georgia will hire you. I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you are. I'm the kind of person who protects helpless old women from being attacked." Victoria slapped her so hard that Destiny saw stars. But still she didn't release Eleanor. "Mama!" Eleanor's weak voice cut through. "Mama, is that you?" Destiny's heart shattered. The stress had pushed Eleanor's mind somewhere far away. "It's okay," Destiny whispered, stroking the elderly woman's silver hair. "I've got you. You're safe." "She's pathetic," Victoria spat. "She belongs in a facility with the rest of the vegetables. She's having a stress response because you attacked her. Feel her pulse. Her heart is racing out of control." "I didn't attack anyone." Destiny stared at Victoria. "I watched you do it. I was standing right there when you watched nothing." Victoria's voice changed. The hysteria vanished. Something cold and calculated took its place. "What you saw was a confused old woman having one of her episodes. You tried to restrain her and she fell. That's what happened." "That's a lie." Victoria smiled. It was the most terrifying thing Destiny had ever seen. "Is it? Because that's exactly what I'm going to tell Marcus. And who do you think he'll believe, his beautiful fiancée or the hired help?" The sound of a car in the driveway made them both freeze. Victoria's smile widened. "Perfect timing." She stepped back from Destiny and Eleanor. She smoothed her dress. She touched her hair. And then, with an actress's precision, she transformed. Her face crumpled. Her body began to shake. Tears sprang to her eyes. Help! Victoria screamed. Marcus! Help me! Oh God, please help! Footsteps pounded through the foyer. Marcus Whitmore burst into the room. 6'2". Tailored navy suit. Storm gray eyes sweeping the chaos, his mother on the floor. His fiancée trembling, his black maid covered in blood. What the hell is going on? Victoria ran to him and threw herself into his arms. Oh, Marcus. Thank God I tried to stop her, but she attacked your mother. She's crazy, Marcus. Completely crazy. That's not true. Destiny's voice cracked. Mr. Whitmore, please listen. Victoria was the one who— Shut up, Victoria screamed. You think anyone will believe you over me? Marcus's eyes locked onto Destiny. She watched his expression shift from confusion to cold fury. Get away from my mother. Mr. Whitmore, please. I said get away from her. His voice echoed like thunder. Eleanor whimpered and pressed closer to Destiny. She's scared, Destiny said. She needs her medication. Her heart is— Don't tell me what my mother needs. Marcus strode toward them. Victoria called from behind him. Be careful, darling. She's dangerous. Destiny looked down at Eleanor. The elderly woman's lips were moving, forming silent words. Her clouded eyes held a desperate plea. I'll let go, Destiny said softly. But someone needs to give her the medication. Please, feel her pulse. Marcus knelt beside them. His hand brushed his mother's wrist. Something flickered across his face. Concern, maybe recognition that something was wrong. Then, Victoria appeared at his shoulder, crying beautifully, and the moment vanished. I'll take care of her, darling, Victoria cooed. You handle that. She reached for Eleanor. Eleanor recoiled violently, pressing herself against Destiny with surprising strength. No, Eleanor whispered. The first clear word she'd spoken. No, no, no. Mother, it's okay, Marcus said. Victoria's going to help you. She's confused, Victoria said quickly. The trauma. She doesn't know what she's saying. But Destiny saw it. The flash of doubt in Marcus's eyes. He'd noticed his mother pulling away from Victoria and toward the maid he was about to fire. For one moment, Destiny thought he might actually listen. Then Victoria began to cry again. Quiet, dignified tears sliding down her perfect cheeks. I know you don't want to believe it, Victoria whispered. I didn't want to believe it either. But I saw what I saw. She was hurting your mother, and when I tried to stop her, she held up her arm, showing a red mark. Look what she did to me. I was so scared. I thought she was going to kill us both. Marcus's jaw hardened. The doubt in his eyes turned to stone. Destiny, you're fired. Pack your things and get out. Mr. Whitmore, please. Now. Destiny gently released Eleanor, settling her against the armrest, as carefully as if she were made of glass. Eleanor's hand shot out and grabbed Destiny's sleeve. Don't go. Eleanor whispered, her eyes suddenly clear. Please, don't leave me with her. Destiny's throat tightened. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She stood slowly. Her hip throbbed. Blood dripped down her cheek. Her hair was wild from Victoria's grip. She looked exactly like what Victoria had painted her to be. I was only trying to protect her, Destiny said, meeting Marcus's eyes. Someday you'll know the truth. I hope it won't be too late. Get out before I have you arrested. Victoria stepped forward. I'll call security. We can't be too careful. She might steal something on her way out. Destiny walked past her without a word. Past Marcus, through the grand foyer, out the front door into the rain. Behind her, Eleanor's voice rose thin and desperate. Destiny, come back, please. She didn't do anything wrong. And Marcus's voice, gentle but firm. It's okay, Mother. She can't hurt you anymore. The door closed behind Destiny with a sound like a judge's gavel. Guilty. She stood in the rain, letting it mix with her tears, until she couldn't tell the difference. Then she walked to her Honda Civic, threw her duffel bag in the back, and drove away. Inside, Victoria was already planning her next move. She didn't know about the security camera recording everything. She didn't know that Eleanor would remember every detail. She didn't know that the woman she'd just destroyed would become the instrument of her own destruction. Victoria Sterling thought she had won. She had no idea her defeat had just begun. Ruth watched from the kitchen window as Destiny's car disappeared. Her hands trembled so badly she nearly dropped the plate she was drying. She hadn't seen what happened, but she'd heard everything. Victoria's screams, Eleanor's cries, and then Marcus's voice, cold and final, dismissing the only person in this house who truly loved his mother. 22 years. Ruth had worked for the Whitmores. She'd watched Marcus grow from a serious boy into a powerful man. She'd held Eleanor's hand through her husband's betrayal. She'd seen staff come and go. But she'd never seen anyone care for Eleanor the way Destiny did. With genuine love. With real tenderness. With patience that couldn't be bought. Now Destiny was gone, and Victoria was upstairs, comforting the woman she'd just attacked. Ruth untied her apron. She knew she should stay quiet. Speaking up could cost her everything, her job, her pension, her reference. At 55, starting over wasn't possible, but she couldn't live with herself if she didn't try. She found Marcus in his study pouring whiskey with unsteady hands. He looked up when she entered. "Ruth, what is it?" "Mr. Whitmore, may I speak freely?" He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "You've earned that right." She sat. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. "It's about Miss Carter. About Destiny." His expression hardened. "If you're here to defend her, I'm here to tell you what I know." Ruth's voice came out stronger than she expected. "That girl loved your mother like her own flesh and blood. I watched her for 8 months. I saw her stay up all night when Mrs. Eleanor couldn't sleep. I saw her learn to cook all your mother's childhood favorites. I saw her read to her for hours without ever complaining." "Ruth, I've also seen Miss Sterling." Ruth pushed forward. "I've seen how she looks at your mother when no one's watching. I've heard what she says to her when you're not around." Marcus set down his glass. "What things?" This was it. No going back. She told Mrs. Eleanor she was going to put her in a home the moment the wedding was over. She said your mother was senile and disgusting. She said... Ruth's voice caught. She said she wished Mrs. Eleanor would just die already and stop being such a burden. The color drained from Marcus's face. "That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth, sir. I swear on my mother's grave." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Marcus said, "Victoria told me you might try something like this." Ruth's heart dropped. "Sir." "She said you were jealous. That you'd been the woman of this house for so long, you couldn't stand someone else taking that position." "That's not true. I only want what's best for your mother." "And accusing my fiancé of verbal abuse is what's best?" Ruth stood. "I've worked for this family 22 years. I've never lied to you. Not once. I'm not lying now." She walked toward the door, then paused. "Your mother is a good woman. She deserves to spend her final years surrounded by people who love her, not people who can't wait for her to die." She left without another word. Marcus sat motionless. Ruth's words echoed in his mind, mixing with the image of his mother shrinking away from Victoria. He thought about calling Victoria, demanding an explanation. But what would he say? "My housekeeper thinks you threaten my mother," Victoria would cry. She would be hurt. She would ask how he could believe the staff over her. And he would apologize. He always did. Marcus drained his whiskey and tried to forget. Upstairs, Victoria sat beside Eleanor's bed playing the devoted daughter-in-law. She held Eleanor's hand, adjusted her pillows, asked if she needed anything, but her grip was too tight. "You almost ruined everything today," Victoria whispered, leaning close. "Crying for that maid like she was your savior. You made me look bad." Eleanor's eyes were closed, but she was awake. Victoria could tell by her breathing. Listen carefully, old woman. That maid is gone. Ruth might try to make trouble, but Marcus will never believe her over me. He loves me. He trusts me. And after we're married, I'm going to put you in the worst nursing home I can find. A tear slipped down Eleanor's weathered cheek. Victoria smiled. That's right. Cry. It's all you're good for now. She stood and checked her reflection in the mirror. Perfect. Sweet dreams, Mother Whitmore, she said loudly in case anyone was listening. Call if you need anything. She swept out. But Eleanor wasn't as helpless as Victoria believed. Her body was weak. Her heart was damaged. Her mind sometimes wandered. But she remembered. Everything Victoria did. Everything Victoria said. And she remembered something else. The security camera. Marcus had installed it months ago after break-ins in the neighborhood. Eleanor had thought it was paranoid at the time. Now that camera was the only witness to what really happened. If only she could tell someone. If only Marcus would listen. All she could do was wait and pray. Destiny pulled into a gas station on the outskirts of Savannah. She sat in her car, staring at nothing, feeling everything. 8 months. Gone. 8 months of caring for Eleanor. Learning her stories. Singing hymns while brushing her silver hair. Feeling like she belonged somewhere. Destroyed by a woman who saw her as nothing. Victoria's words echoed. Who's going to trust a servant over his future wife? She was right. No one would believe Destiny. No evidence. No witnesses. No powerful friends. Just a black woman from the wrong side of town accused of attacking an elderly white woman. She knew how this story ended. She'd seen it 100 times. Her phone buzzed with messages. Her sister, her pastor, her nursing school friend. She couldn't face any of them. She drove until she found a cheap motel, Magnolia Inn, $45 a night, cash only. The room smelled like old carpet and desperation. She sat on the bed in her blood-stained uniform and pulled out the notebook she'd kept since her mother's death. Mama, she wrote, I lost another job today, not because of what I did, but because of what I am. She paused, wiping her eyes. I keep thinking about what you used to tell me. You can't choose what the world calls you, but you can choose who you answer to. I answered to my conscience today. I protected that old woman even though I knew it would cost me. But I don't know if it was worth it. Mrs. Eleanor is still trapped with that monster, and I'm here alone, helpless. She closed the notebook and reached into her pocket. The silver hairpin Eleanor had given her 2 weeks ago. For luck, the old woman had said. Destiny held it tight. I'll find a way, she whispered. I don't know how, but I'll find a way back to you. She thought about the first time she met Eleanor. The old woman had been sitting in the garden alone watching birds. Destiny had introduced herself as the new caregiver. You have kind eyes, Eleanor had said. Sit with me. They'd talked for 3 hours that first day. Eleanor told stories about her childhood in Charleston, about meeting her husband at a dance in 1965, about the daughter she lost. Her name was Grace. Eleanor had said, her eyes going distant. She died in a car accident when she was 22. Marcus was only 5. He doesn't remember her much. I'm so sorry. She would have loved you, Eleanor had said, squeezing Destiny's hand. She would have seen what I see, a woman who cares more about others than herself. Now alone in the motel room, Destiny wondered if Eleanor was thinking about Grace. If losing Destiny felt like losing her daughter all over again. She had to find a way back. But how? 3 days passed. The Whitmore mansion settled into uneasy quiet. Marcus threw himself into work, leaving early, coming home late, going straight to bed. He and Victoria barely spoke. Victoria played her part beautifully. Concerned fiancée, wounded victim, patient saint. She brought Marcus coffee, asked about his day, didn't push. She knew he'd come back. He always did. But Marcus wasn't coming back. Something had shifted inside him that night outside his mother's door. Eleanor had barely spoken since Destiny left. When she did, it was only to ask about the kind girl with the pretty voice. "She's gone, Mother," Marcus would say. "She can't hurt you anymore." But Eleanor would just look at him with those sad, knowing eyes and shake her head. On the third night, Marcus sat in his study, laptop open. The security system interface glowed on the screen. Password. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. Ruth's words haunted him. "I've seen how she looks at your mother when you're not around." His mother's words. "Don't leave me with her." Victoria's words. "She attacked your mother." What if Ruth was right? What if there was footage? What if everything he believed was wrong? Marcus typed his password. The system opened. Cameras listed gardens, garage, foyer, kitchen, and there, sitting room. He clicked it, selected the date of the incident, scrolled to the timestamp. The video began. Eleanor sat in her chair, book in her lap, peaceful, unaware. Victoria entered the frame. Marcus leaned forward. "You think your son will still love you when I'm done with you?" Victoria's voice sharp as a blade. His mother's response quiet but firm. "He'll see who you really are." Victoria laughed. Then she moved closer. Then Marcus's hand flew to his mouth. He watched Victoria shove his mother, watched Eleanor hit the chair, watched medication scatter, watched Victoria kick Eleanor. Twice, 3 times. He watched his mother curl into a ball trying to protect herself. Then Destiny entered the frame. He watched her throw herself between Victoria and Eleanor. Watched her take kicks meant for his mother. Watched her hold Eleanor close, speaking comfort, while Victoria screamed and threw objects. He watched himself enter the room. He watched himself believe every lie. He watched himself fire the only person who tried to save his mother. The video ended. Marcus sat in darkness, staring at the blank screen. Everything he thought he knew. Everything he believed. Every decision he made that day. Wrong. He had defended a monster. He had destroyed a saint. He had looked truth in the face and called it deception. What had he done? Marcus buried his face in his hands and wept. For his mother. For Destiny. For the man he thought he was. For the man he'd become. Upstairs, Victoria slept peacefully in silk sheets, dreaming of wedding dresses and Whitmore money. She had no idea her world was about to collapse. The next morning, Marcus didn't go to the office. He called his lawyer first, then his PR team, then a private investigator. "I need you to find someone," he said. "Her name is Destiny Carter. She worked for my family until 3 days ago. I need her address, today." "May I ask what this is regarding, sir?" "Righting a terrible wrong." He hung up and went to his mother's room. Eleanor was awake, staring out the window. She turned when he entered. "You watched it," she said. Not a question. Marcus nodded. He couldn't speak. "And now you know." "Mother." His voice broke. "Why didn't you tell me? I tried. You didn't want to hear." He crossed the room and knelt beside her chair. Tears streamed down his face. "I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have looked. I should have—" Eleanor's frail hand touched his cheek. "You're listening now. That's what matters." "How can you forgive me?" "Because you're my son. Because I love you. Because we all believe lies when they come wrapped in pretty packages." Marcus took her hand and pressed it to his forehead. "I'm going to make this right. I'm going to find Destiny and bring her back. I'm going to—" "First," Eleanor interrupted gently, "you need to deal with the woman sleeping down the hall." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Don't worry about Victoria. I have plans for her." "Marcus," his mother's voice sharpened, "be careful. She's dangerous. Cornered animals bite." She's not going to hurt anyone ever again. I promise you that. He stood and kissed her forehead. I love you, Mother. I love you too. Now go find that girl and bring her home. Marcus walked out of his mother's room with purpose burning in his chest. 3 days ago, he'd been blind. Today, he could finally see. And what he saw was Victoria Sterling's carefully constructed world about to come crashing down. Victoria woke to an empty bed. Strange. Marcus usually woke her before leaving for work. She checked her phone. No messages, no missed calls. She found him in his study, sitting behind his desk, watching her with eyes she didn't recognize. Good morning, darling. She moved toward him, ready to wrap her arms around his neck. Sit down. His voice stopped her cold. What's wrong? You look terrible. Didn't you sleep? I said sit down. Victoria sat, her smile faltering. Marcus, you're scaring me. What's going on? He turned his laptop toward her. She saw the frozen image on the screen and felt her blood turn to ice. The security camera, the sitting room, her standing over Eleanor. I watched it all, Marcus said. Every second. Victoria's mind raced. Attack, deny, redirect. The strategies that had always worked. That's not what it looks like, she said quickly. The angle is misleading. She provoked me. Your mother said terrible things to me, and You kicked a 78-year-old woman with a heart condition. You attacked a caregiver who was trying to protect her. You lied to my face and let me destroy an innocent person's life. She wasn't innocent. She was trying to turn you against me. The only person who turned me against you is you. Victoria stood, her mask cracking. You can't prove anything. That video could have been edited. Your mother is senile. The maid was... Her name is Destiny. I don't care what her name is. She's nobody. I'm your fiancée. Marcus stood slowly. His voice dropped to something quiet and terrible. Not anymore. Victoria froze. What? The engagement is over. I want you out of my house within the hour. You can't do this to me. Her voice rose to a shriek. Do you know who I am? Do you know what I've given up for you? I know exactly who you are. I finally see you clearly. You'll regret this. Victoria grabbed a paperweight from his desk and hurled it at the wall. I'll destroy you. I'll tell everyone you're crazy. You'll do nothing. Marcus pulled out his phone. Because if you say one word against me or my family, I'll release this video to every media outlet in the country. Everyone will see exactly what kind of person you are. Victoria's face went white. You wouldn't. Try me. For a long moment they stared at each other. The man who had finally opened his eyes and the woman who had spent months deceiving him. Victoria broke first. Fine, she spat. Keep your pathetic family. Keep your senile mother. Keep your precious maid. I never wanted any of you anyway. I only wanted your money. I know, Marcus said quietly. That's the saddest part. Victoria grabbed her purse and stormed toward the door. She paused at the threshold. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Don't ever come near my family again. She left, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Marcus sank into his chair, exhausted but relieved. One enemy dealt with. Now he had to find Destiny and beg for forgiveness he didn't deserve. His phone buzzed. The private investigator. Mr. Whitmore, I found her. She's staying at a motel called the Magnolia Inn, about 30 miles outside the city. Marcus grabbed his keys. Destiny was packing her bag when the knock came. She wasn't expecting anyone. She didn't know anyone in this part of town. She opened the door and felt her heart stop. Marcus Whitmore stood in the hallway looking like he hadn't slept in days. His suit was wrinkled. His eyes were red. Destiny. She tried to close the door. He caught it. Please, give me 5 minutes. You fired me. You called me dangerous. You threatened to have me arrested. I know, and I was wrong. About everything. So now you believe me. Now that it's convenient. I watched the security footage. Destiny's breath caught. What? There was a camera in the sitting room. I saw everything. I saw what she did to my mother. I saw what she did to you. I saw... His voice broke. I saw myself walk in and believe every lie she told. Destiny stood frozen, processing. I don't expect forgiveness, Marcus continued. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know that I'm sorry. From the bottom of my soul, I'm sorry. I should have listened. I should have looked. I should have trusted the woman my mother loved instead of the woman who wanted to destroy her. Tears spilled down Destiny's cheeks. How is she Mrs. Eleanor? She asks about you every day. She calls you the kind girl with the pretty voice. Marcus's voice cracked. She needs you. I need you. Please come back. You can't just show up here and expect everything to be okay. I know that. I know I have to earn your trust. I know I have to prove that I've changed. But please give me the chance. Not for me, for my mother. Destiny looked at him, this broken man who had been so blind and was now begging to see. She thought about Eleanor alone in that big house. She thought about her promise, I'll find a way back to you. She thought about her mother's words, you can't choose what the world calls you, but you can choose who you answer to. Where is Victoria? Gone. I threw her out this morning. She'll never come near my family again. Destiny was quiet for a long moment. If I come back, things have to be different. I'm not just the help. I'm not just someone you can dismiss when it's convenient. You were never just the help, Destiny. You were the only one protecting my mother when I was too stupid to see the truth. She searched his face for any trace of the cold man who had fired her. She didn't find it. She found something else instead. Genuine remorse. Real pain. And desperate hope. Okay, she said finally. I'll come back. For Mrs. Eleanor. Marcus let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for days. Thank you. Thank you. I'll make this right, I swear. You can start by carrying my bag. For the first time in 3 days, Marcus smiled. The drive back to the Whitmore mansion felt like traveling between worlds. Destiny sat in the passenger seat of Marcus's Mercedes watching Savannah roll past the window. The same city looked different now. Brighter somehow. Full of possibility instead of despair. I meant what I said. Marcus spoke quietly. Things are going to change. They better. I'm going to set up a foundation. Something to help caregivers like you. People who sacrifice everything to take care of others and get nothing but mistreatment in return. Destiny looked at him. That's a nice gesture. It's not a gesture, it's the least I can do. You risked everything to protect my mother. You lost your job, your reputation, your dignity, all because you did the right thing. That shouldn't be how the world works. But it is how the world works. Then maybe it's time to change it. They drove in silence for a while. Can I ask you something? Destiny said. Anything. Why did you believe her, Victoria? You barely knew me, but you knew your mother. You knew she loved me. Why didn't you trust her? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Because I wanted to believe Victoria was who she pretended to be. Because admitting the truth meant admitting I'd been fooled. Because it's easier to believe pretty lies than ugly truths. That's honest. It's the least I can give you now. The mansion appeared at the end of the long driveway. Destiny felt her chest tighten. She's waiting for you, Marcus said. She made Ruth promise to tell her the minute we pulled in. They parked in front of the grand entrance. Before Destiny could open her door, she saw movement on the front steps. Eleanor stood there leaning on Ruth's arm, tears streaming down her face. Destiny got out of the car. The two women looked at each other across the driveway, the elderly woman who had been abandoned and the young woman who had been accused. You came back, Eleanor whispered. Destiny walked toward her. I promised I would. Eleanor opened her arms. Destiny stepped into them. They held each other for a long time, crying, laughing, squeezing tight. "I'm so sorry," Eleanor sobbed. "I'm so sorry you had to go through that. You have nothing to be sorry for. None of this was your fault. I should have spoken up sooner. I should have made him listen. You tried. That's all anyone can do." Eleanor pulled back and cupped Destiny's face in her trembling hands. "You saved my life, child. You threw yourself between me and that monster without a second thought. I will never forget that. Never." Destiny smiled through her tears. "I'd do it again, 1,000 times." "I know you would. That's why I love you." Ruth was crying too, dabbing at her eyes with her apron. Marcus watched from beside the car, something shifting in his chest. He had spent so much of his life chasing success, building empires, accumulating wealth. But he had never seen anything as valuable as what he was witnessing now. Two women bound by love instead of blood, holding each other like the world had tried to tear them apart and failed. This was what mattered. This was what he had almost destroyed. He made a silent vow he would spend the rest of his life making sure nothing like this ever happened again. To his mother, to Destiny, to anyone. The world might be cruel, but he didn't have to be. That night, for the first time in days, the Whitmore mansion felt like a home. Destiny helped Eleanor to bed, just like old times. She brushed the elderly woman's silver hair. She sang the hymns Eleanor loved. She told stories until Eleanor's eyes grew heavy. "Don't leave again," Eleanor murmured, half asleep. "I'm not going anywhere. Promise." Destiny kissed her forehead. "I promise." She stayed until Eleanor's breathing deepened into sleep. Then she crept out of the room and closed the door softly behind her. Marcus was waiting in the hallway. "Is she okay?" "She's sleeping. First peaceful sleep she's had in days, I think." They stood in awkward silence. "I know things can't go back to how they were," Marcus said finally. "Too much has happened. But I hope we can start over. Build something new." Destiny studied him. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means I want you here. Not as an employee, as family. My mother considers you a daughter. And He hesitated. "I want to earn the right to call you a friend. That's going to take time. I know, but I'm willing to put in the work, for as long as it takes." Destiny nodded slowly. "Okay, we start over. Clean slate. But if you ever—" "I won't. I swear to you, Destiny, I will never make that mistake again." "Then we have a deal." She held out her hand. He shook it. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a beginning. And sometimes beginnings were enough. Chunch. Across town in a luxury hotel suite, Victoria Sterling sat surrounded by suitcases and shattered dreams. She had been so close. 3 months from the wedding. 3 months from becoming Mrs. Marcus Whitmore. 3 months from having access to one of the largest fortunes in Georgia. And that maid had ruined everything. No, not just the maid. The security camera. The footage that had exposed her. Victoria poured herself a glass of wine and stared out at the city lights. She had lost this battle. But she hadn't lost the war. Marcus thought he could just throw her out like trash. He thought he could threaten her with that video, and she would slink away quietly. He didn't know who he was dealing with. Victoria Sterling didn't lose. She didn't accept defeat. She didn't go quietly into the night. She got revenge. Her phone buzzed. A text from a number she recognized. "Heard about you and Whitmore. Need to talk." Victoria smiled for the first time all day. She typed back, "Yes, I have a proposition for you." The response came immediately. "I'm listening." Victoria's smile widened. Marcus Whitmore thought this was over. He had no idea it was just beginning. She looked out at the Savannah skyline, hatred burning in her chest. "You want to play games," she whispered to the night. "Fine, let's play." She drained her wine and began to plan. The Whitmore family had won this round. But the next round was coming. And Victoria Sterling always won in the end. 2 weeks had passed since Victoria Sterling walked out of the Whitmore mansion, and Destiny was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, the nightmare was truly over. She was wrong. The morning began like any other. Destiny helped Eleanor with her breakfast, made sure she took her heart medication, and settled her in the garden where the autumn sun could warm her fragile bones. "You're humming again," Eleanor said, smiling up at her. "You only hum when you're happy." "I didn't realize I was doing it." "That's what makes it real." Eleanor squeezed her hand. "I'm glad you're happy, child. After everything that woman put you through, you deserve some peace." Destiny was about to respond when Ruth appeared at the garden gate, her face pale. "Miss Carter, you need to come inside, now." "What's wrong?" "There's something on the news. About you." Destiny's blood went cold. She followed Ruth into the kitchen where the small television was playing. A morning news anchor was speaking, her face grave. "Shocking allegations have surfaced against a local caregiver who works for one of Savannah's wealthiest families. Victoria Sterling, former fiancée of tech billionaire Marcus Whitmore, claims she was the victim of a violent attack by the family's maid, Destiny Carter." Destiny stopped breathing. The screen cut to Victoria looking beautiful and fragile in a designer dress, tears streaming down her perfect face. "She attacked me without warning," Victoria said, her voice trembling. "I tried to protect Mrs. Whitmore, but Destiny was out of control. She was jealous of my relationship with Marcus. She wanted me gone, and she was willing to hurt an innocent old woman to make it happen." "That's a lie." Destiny's voice came out strangled. "That's not what happened." The news anchor continued. "Miss Sterling has filed a civil lawsuit against Miss Carter for assault and emotional distress. She is seeking damages of $5 million. Ruth grabbed Destiny's arm to steady her. "Miss Sterling also claims to have evidence that Miss Carter has a history of violent behavior," the anchor said. "Court documents show that Miss Carter was previously investigated for elder abuse at a nursing facility in Atlanta, though no charges were filed at the time." Destiny felt the room spin. "That's not true," she whispered. "I was cleared. The family made false accusations because I reported them for neglect. I was completely cleared. But the damage was done. Her face was on television. Her name was being dragged through the mud, and Victoria Sterling was watching from somewhere, smiling." Marcus burst into the kitchen, his phone pressed to his ear. "I don't care what it costs. Get our lawyers on this immediately. I want a cease and desist sent to every station running this story." He hung up and looked at Destiny. "Are you okay?" "She's destroying me." "She's trying to, but she won't succeed." "You don't understand." Destiny's voice cracked. "I worked so hard to build my reputation. Years of nursing school, years of perfect references. And now everyone in Georgia thinks I'm a violent criminal. Anyone who believes that garbage isn't worth your time. It's not about what they believe, it's about what they do. No one will hire me after this. No hospital, no family, no one." Marcus took her hands. "Then don't work for anyone else. Stay here, with us, with my mother." "That's not the point." "Then what is the point?" Destiny pulled away from him. "The point is that she's winning. She got thrown out of your house, and now she's making sure I lose everything too. That's who she is. If she can't have what she wants, she makes sure no one else can either." Eleanor's voice came from the doorway. Ruth had wheeled her inside without anyone noticing. "Then we fight back." Destiny turned. "Mrs. Whitmore, you shouldn't be—" "I shouldn't be what defending the woman who saved my life." Eleanor's eyes blazed with a fire Destiny had never seen. "That creature on the television attacked me. She kicked me. She threatened to put me in a home to die. And now she's accusing you of what she did." "Mother, please calm down," Marcus said. "Your heart—" "My heart is fine. My heart is furious." Eleanor gripped the arms of her wheelchair. "Marcus, you have that video, the one from the security camera. Release it." "I can't do that yet. The lawyers say—" "Forget the lawyers. That woman is destroying an innocent girl's life right now today, while we sit here waiting for permission to tell the truth. If we release it without going through proper channels, Victoria's lawyers will claim we edited it. They'll say we fabricated evidence. Then what do we do? Marcus's jaw tightened. We do this the right way. We file our own lawsuit. We submit the video as evidence. We let the legal system work. The legal system? Eleanor scoffed. The legal system takes years. Destiny doesn't have years. Her reputation is being destroyed right now. Destiny stood frozen, watching the two people who had become her family argue about her fate. She felt helpless, powerless, exactly the way Victoria wanted her to feel. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Hello? Did you like my interview? Victoria's voice slithered through the speaker. I thought I looked quite sympathetic, don't you think? Destiny's hand tightened around the phone. Why are you doing this? Because I can. Because you ruined my life, so now I'm ruining yours. Because Marcus chose you over me, and that's something I can never forgive. He didn't choose me, he chose the truth. Victoria laughed. The truth is whatever people believe, sweetheart. And right now, people believe you're a violent, jealous maid who attacked a defenseless old woman. How does that feel? You won't get away with this. I already have. Check your bank account. Check your credit score. Check your social media. I have friends everywhere, Destiny. Friends who owe me favors. By the time I'm done with you, you won't be able to rent an apartment or open a bank account or show your face in public. Why I never did anything to you. You existed. That was enough. The line went dead. Destiny stood motionless, the phone still pressed to her ear. Marcus and Eleanor had stopped arguing. They were both watching her with worried eyes. What did she say? Marcus asked quietly. She's not going to stop. Destiny's voice sounded far away even to herself. She's going to destroy me completely. And there's nothing I can do about it. That's not true. Isn't it? She has money. She has connections. She has lawyers and PR people and friends in the media. What do I have? Nothing. I'm nobody. You're not nobody. Marcus stepped closer. You're the woman who saved my mother's life. You're the woman who stood up to a bully when everyone else looked away. You're the woman who... I'm tired. Destiny cut him off. I'm so tired of fighting. I've been fighting my whole life, fighting to get through nursing school, fighting to prove I belonged in rooms full of people who thought I didn't, fighting to protect your mother when your fiancé was trying to hurt her. And what did it get me? A lawsuit and a ruined reputation. She walked toward the door. Where are you going? Eleanor called after her. I need to be alone. Destiny, please. I'll be in my room. I need time to think. She left before either of them could stop her. 3 hours later, Destiny sat on her bed staring at her phone. The notifications hadn't stopped coming. Reporters requesting interviews. Old classmates sending messages that pretended to be supportive, but were really just fishing for gossip. Strangers sending hate mail. One message stood out from the rest. It was from her sister Jasmine. I saw the news. I know it's not true. Call me when you can. I love you. Destiny's eyes filled with tears. In all the chaos, she had forgotten that she wasn't completely alone. She had family. Real family. She called Jasmine. Des. Her sister's voice was warm and worried. Are you okay? I've been trying to reach you all day. I'm sorry. Everything's been crazy. I can imagine. That woman on TV is lying through her teeth, right? I mean, I know you. You wouldn't hurt a fly, let alone an old lady. Of course I wouldn't. She attacked Mrs. Whitmore. I tried to protect her. And now Victoria's spinning the whole thing to make me look like the villain. Can't you prove it? Security cameras or something? There is a video. Marcus has it. But his lawyers say we have to go through the proper legal channels or Victoria will claim it's fake. Legal channels take forever. I know. Jasmine was quiet for a moment. What if you didn't go through legal channels? What do you mean? I mean, what if the video just leaked accidentally to some reporter who happened to be investigating the story? That would be illegal. Would it? It's Marcus's house. It's his security system. He can do whatever he wants with his own footage. Destiny considered this. He won't do it. He's too worried about the legal implications. Then maybe someone else needs to do it for him. Jasmine, I can't. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying. The truth has a way of coming out, Des. Sometimes it needs a little help. After they hung up, Destiny sat in the darkness, thinking about what her sister had said. The video could end this. One release, one viewing, and the whole world would see what Victoria really did. Destiny's name would be cleared. Victoria would be exposed. Justice would be served. But Marcus had said no. And going behind his back felt wrong. Didn't it? A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Come in. Ruth entered carrying a tray with tea and sandwiches. You missed dinner. Mrs. Whitmore was worried. I'm not hungry. Eat anyway. Ruth set the tray on the bedside table. You need your strength. Destiny looked at the older woman. Ruth had been at the Whitmore mansion for 22 years. She had seen everything endured, everything survived everything. Ruth, can I ask you something? Of course. If you had a chance to expose someone who hurt you, really expose them, show the whole world what they did, but it meant going against what someone else wanted, would you do it? Ruth sat on the edge of the bed. That depends. Who's the someone else? Someone who's trying to protect me. Someone who thinks they know the right way to handle things. And do they know the right way? I don't know, maybe, but their way is slow. And while we're waiting, my life is falling apart. Ruth was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, When I was young, my mother gave me some advice. She said, Ruth, the world will try to silence you in 1,000 different ways. Sometimes the loudest thing you can do is speak when they expect you to be quiet. What does that mean? It means that sometimes waiting for permission is just another form of silence. Ruth stood. Eat your dinner. Get some sleep. Things always look different in the morning. She left, closing the door softly behind her. Destiny stared at the closed door for a long time. Then she picked up her phone and made a decision. The next morning, Marcus woke to his phone ringing off the hook. His lawyer, his PR manager, his assistant, 3 news stations, and approximately 40 text messages, all saying variations of the same thing. Have you seen the video? He hadn't. But 10 minutes later, he had. Someone had uploaded the security footage to YouTube. In less than 12 hours, it had gone viral. 50 million views and counting. Every news station in the country was running it. Every social media platform was sharing it. And Victoria Sterling was finished. Marcus found Destiny in the garden with his mother. They were watching the news on Eleanor's tablet, seeing Victoria's carefully constructed lies crumble in real time. You did this, Marcus said. It wasn't a question. Destiny met his eyes without flinching. Yes. I told you to wait. I told you we needed to go through proper channels. And while we waited, she was destroying my life. I made a choice. You went behind my back. I protected myself, the same way I protected your mother. Marcus opened his mouth to argue, but Eleanor cut him off. Leave her alone, Marcus. Mother, she did what you should have done weeks ago. She stopped waiting for permission and told the truth. Eleanor's voice was sharp. That woman was on television calling Destiny a criminal. She filed a lawsuit. She was trying to destroy an innocent girl's life, and you wanted to wait for lawyers. There are rules, procedures. There's also justice. Sometimes justice doesn't wait for procedures. Marcus looked at Destiny. She stared back, unyielding. He wanted to be angry. Part of him was angry, but a larger part of him was relieved. The truth was out. Victoria couldn't hide behind lies anymore. The lawsuit, he said finally. Victoria's lawyers will claim the video was obtained illegally. Let them claim whatever they want, Destiny replied. 50 million people have seen your mother getting kicked by your ex-fiancé. No lawyer in the world can spin that. She was right. And they both knew it. Marcus sighed. You could have told me what you were planning. Would you have let me do it? Probably not. That's why I didn't tell you. For a moment they stood in silence. Then, unexpectedly, Marcus laughed. You're impossible. I've been called worse. Eleanor clapped her hands. Now that that's settled, can someone please bring me more tea? All this excitement has made me thirsty. By noon, Victoria Sterling's world had completely collapsed. Her lawyer called to inform her that the video was authentic and unedited. There was no legal strategy that could explain away what was clearly documented on camera. Her PR team called to inform her that every media outlet in the country had dropped her. The narrative had shifted completely. She was no longer the victim, she was the villain. Her friends called actually, they didn't call at all. Their silence was louder than any words could have been. And worst of all, her bank called to inform her that the civil lawsuit she had filed was being countersued for defamation fraud and intentional infliction of emotional distress. If she lost, she would be financially ruined. Victoria sat in her hotel room, surrounded by the debris of her schemes, and felt something she had never felt before in her entire life. Fear. Real, genuine, paralyzing fear. She had played her cards, and she had lost. Everything she had worked for, everything she had planned, everything she thought she deserved gone in the span of a single night. Her phone buzzed. A text from the same contact she had reached out to 2 weeks ago. Saw the video. Deal's off. Don't contact me again. Even her allies were abandoning her. Victoria hurled her phone across the room. It shattered against the wall just like her future. But even now, even in the depths of her defeat, a part of her refused to accept it. This wasn't over. It couldn't be over. She had invested too much, sacrificed, too much, done too much to walk away with nothing. There had to be a way to turn this around. There was always a way. She just had to find it. 4 days later, Destiny received a phone call that changed everything. Miss Carter, this is Dr. Patricia Haynes from Savannah Memorial Hospital. Destiny's heart skipped. Savannah Memorial was the best hospital in the city. She had applied there 3 years ago and never heard back. Yes, Dr. Haynes. I'm calling because we saw the news coverage about you, the video of what happened at the Whitmore residence. Here it comes, Destiny thought. Another rejection. Another door slammed in her face. We were very impressed, Dr. Haynes continued. The way you protected that elderly woman, the way you put yourself in harm's way without hesitation. That's exactly the kind of person we want on our team. Destiny nearly dropped the phone. I'm sorry, what? We'd like to offer you a position in our geriatric care unit, full-time with benefits. We think your experience and your character would be valuable additions to our staff. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Dr. Haynes's voice was warm. We could use more people like you, Miss Carter. People who do the right thing even when it's hard. Destiny was crying before she hung up the phone. She found Eleanor in the sitting room reading a book. When the elderly woman saw Destiny's tear-streaked face, she immediately set the book aside. What's wrong? What happened? Nothing's wrong. Destiny laughed through her tears. Everything's right. I got a job offer from Savannah Memorial. Eleanor's face lit up. The hospital. The good one. The good one. Oh, child. Eleanor opened her arms, and Destiny rushed into them. I'm so proud of you. So proud. I couldn't have done it without you, without this family. You did it yourself. We just watched. Marcus appeared in the doorway. What's all the commotion? Destiny got a job at Savannah Memorial, Eleanor announced proudly. They saw the video and they want her on their team. Marcus's face broke into a genuine smile. That's wonderful news. It is, Destiny agreed. But it also means I'll have to leave here. I can't work at a hospital and be Mrs. Eleanor's full-time caregiver. The words fell between them like stones. Eleanor's smile faltered. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I don't want to leave you, you know that. But this is the chance I've been waiting for my whole career. Of course you have to take it. Eleanor's voice was firm even as her eyes glistened. I won't have you giving up your dreams for an old woman. You're not just any old woman. I'm exactly an old woman, and old women don't get to be selfish. She took Destiny's hands. You take that job. You become the nurse you were always meant to be, and you come visit me every Sunday for dinner. Every Sunday, and holidays, and my birthday, and any time you need a good meal or a listening ear. Eleanor squeezed her hands. Your family now, Destiny. A job doesn't change that. Destiny looked at Marcus. He nodded. Mother's right. You've given us so much. It's time for you to chase your own dreams. But who will take care of her? I'll hire the best caregivers money can buy, and I'll be here more myself. I've been too absent from her life. It's time that changed. Eleanor snorted. About time you realized that. They all laughed, but underneath the laughter was something bittersweet. The end of one chapter. The beginning of another. That night, Victoria Sterling made her final move. She had spent 4 days planning scheming, reaching out to every contact she had left. Most had ignored her. Some had blocked her. But one had responded. A reporter named Bradley Hayes. Ambitious, ruthless, willing to do anything for a story. He had agreed to meet her at a bar downtown, far from the prying eyes of the media that had turned against her. Victoria arrived early, dressed down wearing sunglasses even though it was dark outside. She couldn't risk being recognized. Bradley was already there nursing a whiskey. He looked her up and down with barely concealed disgust. You've got 10 minutes, he said. Make it good. I have information, Victoria said. Information that will blow the Whitmore scandal wide open. What kind of information? The kind that proves Marcus Whitmore isn't the saint everyone thinks he is. The kind that shows his precious maid has been manipulating him from the start. Bradley raised an eyebrow. That video looked pretty damning. For you, I mean. The video was taken out of context. There's more to the story. Like what? Victoria leaned closer. Like the fact that Destiny Carter and Marcus Whitmore have been having an affair for months. Like the fact that she seduced him deliberately to get access to his money. Like the fact that everything that happened was a setup to get rid of me so she could have him for herself. Bradley stared at her. Then he laughed. You're delusional. I have proof. You have nothing. You're a washed-up socialite who got caught on camera kicking an old woman, and now you're trying to spin some conspiracy theory to save what's left of your reputation. Victoria's face reddened. I'm telling you the truth. The truth is that 50 million people watched you assault an elderly woman and then lie about it. The truth is that your lawsuit just got thrown out. The truth is that you're finished in this town and probably every other town. You have to listen to me. I don't have to do anything. Bradley stood, throwing some cash on the table. Go home, Victoria. Get some therapy. And for God's sake, stop trying to destroy people who are clearly better than you. He walked out, leaving Victoria alone with her dying schemes. She sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. The bar noise swirled around her, laughter music, the clink of glasses, but she heard none of it. She had lost. Completely. Utterly. Finally. There was no more spinning, no more lying, no more scheming. Just defeat. For the first time in her life, Victoria Sterling had been beaten by someone she considered beneath her. A black maid from the wrong side of town had taken everything from her, her fiancé, her reputation, her future. And the worst part? Destiny hadn't even been trying. She had just been herself, kind, brave, honest, and that had been enough to expose Victoria for the monster she really was. Victoria paid her tab and walked out into the night. She didn't know where she was going. She didn't know what she would do. She just knew she couldn't stay in Savannah any longer. There were other cities, other men, other opportunities. She would rebuild. She always did. But as she climbed into her car and drove toward the highway, a small voice in the back of her mind whispered something she had never acknowledged before. Maybe the problem wasn't other people. Maybe the problem was her. She pushed the thought away and kept driving. Some people never learn. 2 months later, Destiny stood in the break room of Savannah Memorial Hospital adjusting her new nursing scrubs. They fit perfectly. Everything fit perfectly these days. Nurse Carter. She turned to find Dr. Haynes standing in the doorway smiling. Your patient in room 312 is asking for you. She says you're the only one who knows how to make her tea right. Destiny laughed. That sounds like Mrs. Patterson. She's something else, that one. But she loves you. The feeling is mutual. As Destiny walked toward room 312, she thought about how much had changed in such a short time. 2 months ago, she had been accused of a crime she didn't commit, fired from a job she loved, publicly, humiliated by a woman who wanted to destroy her. Now, she was exactly where she had always dreamed of being. A real nurse, at a real hospital, doing real work that mattered. She visited Eleanor every Sunday, just as promised. The elderly woman was thriving under the care of her new caregiver, a young woman named Patricia, who reminded everyone of Destiny. Marcus had vetted her personally, and Eleanor had approved her immediately. She hums while she works, Eleanor had told Destiny during her last visit. Just like you. Marcus himself had changed too. He was more present, more attentive, more aware of what really mattered. He visited his mother almost every day. He had started the foundation they had talked about, the one supporting caregivers and domestic workers. He had even named it the Eleanor Whitmore Trust. And Victoria Sterling. She had disappeared completely. Some said she moved to Europe. Others said she was lying low in New York. No one really knew, and no one really cared. She had become what she feared most: irrelevant. Destiny pushed open the door to room 312. Mrs. Patterson was sitting up in bed, scowling at her untouched breakfast. "Finally," the elderly woman exclaimed. "These people don't know the first thing about making tea. Too much milk, not enough sugar, and they never let it steep long enough." Destiny smiled and reached for the teapot. "Don't worry, Mrs. Patterson. I've got you." As she prepared the tea exactly the way Mrs. Patterson liked it, Destiny felt a warmth spread through her chest. This was why she had become a nurse. Not for the money, not for the prestige. For moments like this, small acts of kindness that made someone's day a little brighter. "You're a good girl," Mrs. Patterson said, accepting the cup. "This place is lucky to have you." "I'm lucky to be here." Mrs. Patterson took a sip and sighed contentedly. "Perfect." Destiny sat down beside her bed, ready to listen to whatever story the elderly woman wanted to tell today. Because that's what caregivers did. They showed up. They listened. They made people feel seen. And sometimes, against all odds, justice prevailed. That evening, Marcus met Destiny for coffee at a small cafe downtown. It had become their weekly ritual, a chance to catch up, share news, maintain the friendship that had grown from such difficult circumstances. "You look happy," Marcus observed. "I am happy. For the first time in a long time. You deserve it." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the sun set over the Savannah skyline. "I got a letter from Victoria's lawyer yesterday," Marcus said. Destiny tensed. "What did it say?" "She's dropping all claims against you. Against my mother. Against me. Apparently she's decided to move on with her life and put this unfortunate chapter behind her. Do you believe that?" "I believe she realized she had no choice. The video made sure of that." Destiny nodded. "So, it's really over." "It's really over." She let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. 2 months of waiting for the other shoe to drop, and finally it was done. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For believing me, eventually." Marcus winced. "I should have believed you from the start." "Yes, you should have." "I know, and I'm sorry. I'll spend the rest of my life being sorry." Destiny reached across the table and touched his hand. "Don't spend the rest of your life being sorry. Spend it being better." He looked at her with eyes full of something she couldn't quite name. "I'm trying." "I know you are." They finished their coffee as the streetlights flickered on around them. Two people who had survived a storm and come out the other side, not unscathed, but stronger. When they parted ways outside the cafe, Marcus hesitated. "Destiny." "Yes." "My mother asked me to tell you something." "What?" "She said, 'Tell that girl she saved more than my life. She saved my son's soul.'" Destiny's eyes filled with tears. "Tell her I'll see her Sunday." "I will." He walked away into the night. Destiny stood there for a moment, feeling the warm evening air on her skin, listening to the sounds of the city coming alive around her. 2 years ago she had been nobody, a struggling nursing student with big dreams and empty pockets. Now she was somebody, not because of money or fame or status, but because she had done the right thing when it mattered most. Her mother had been right all along. You can't choose what the world calls you, but you can choose who you answer to. Destiny had answered to her conscience, and her conscience had led her here to a job she loved, a family that treasured her, and a future bright with possibility. She turned and walked toward her car, humming softly to herself. The song was one her mother used to sing, a hymn about grace, about redemption, about light conquering darkness. Destiny didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but she knew one thing for certain. Whatever came next, she was ready. 6 months had passed since Destiny started at Savannah Memorial, and she had become one of the most beloved nurses on the geriatric ward. Patients requested her by name. Doctors trusted her judgment. Colleagues sought her advice. But on this particular Monday morning, everything changed. Destiny was checking vitals in room 308 when her phone buzzed. A text from Ruth. "Come to the mansion immediately. It's Mrs. Eleanor." She collapsed. Destiny's blood went cold. She found Dr. Haynes in the hallway and grabbed her arm. "I need to leave. Family emergency." "Go. I'll cover your patients." Destiny ran. The drive to the Whitmore mansion usually took 30 minutes. She made it in 18, her heart pounding the entire way. Marcus met her at the front door. His face was ashen, his eyes red-rimmed. "What happened?" Destiny demanded. She was having breakfast. 1 minute she was laughing at something Patricia said, the next she was on the floor. His voice cracked. "The paramedics are with her now." "Where?" "Her bedroom." Destiny pushed past him and ran up the stairs. 2 paramedics were working over Eleanor, who lay motionless on her bed. Patricia stood in the corner crying. "What's her status?" Destiny asked, her nursing training taking over. "Suspected cardiac event," one paramedic said. "BP is dropping. We're stabilizing her for transport." Eleanor's eyes fluttered open. She saw Destiny and reached out a trembling hand. "You came." Destiny grabbed her hand and held tight. "Of course I came. I'll always come." "I'm scared." "Don't be. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." "Promise." "I promise." The paramedics loaded Eleanor onto a stretcher. Destiny rode with her in the ambulance, holding her hand the entire way, talking to her, keeping her conscious, keeping her fighting. At the hospital, Eleanor was rushed into the cardiac unit. Destiny had to let go of her hand at the double doors. "Family only beyond this point," the attending nurse said. "She is family," Marcus said, appearing behind Destiny. "Let her through." The nurse hesitated, then nodded. They waited together in the cardiac ICU as doctors worked on Eleanor behind closed curtains. Marcus paced. Destiny sat frozen, her hands clasped so tight her knuckles turned white. She's strong, Destiny said more to herself than to Marcus. She survived Victoria. She can survive this. She's 78 years old with a damaged heart. She's a fighter. What if fighting isn't enough this time? Destiny looked at him, really looked at him. She saw a man who had already lost so much: his father to abandonment, his fiancée to deception, his faith in his own judgment. Now he was facing the possibility of losing his mother. Then we'll be there for her, Destiny said softly. Whatever happens. Marcus sank into the chair beside her. For a long moment, neither spoke. I never told you this, he said finally. But after Victoria left, I thought about ending everything. Destiny's breath caught. What? Not like that. I mean ending my business, selling the mansion, walking away from all of it. He stared at his hands. I felt like such a fraud, a man who couldn't see what was happening right under his own roof, a man who believed a monster over the people who loved him. But you didn't walk away. No, because of my mother, and because of you. Destiny turned to face him. Me? You showed me that doing the right thing matters even when it costs everything. You showed me that integrity isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing truth over comfort, even when truth is painful. I was just trying to protect your mother. You protected all of us, from Victoria, from ourselves, from the lies we tell to avoid facing what's real. The curtain parted. A doctor emerged, pulling off her gloves. Marcus and Destiny both stood. She's stable, the doctor said. It was a mild heart attack, significant, but not catastrophic. We've placed a stent. She'll need to stay here for observation, but the prognosis is good. Destiny felt her knees go weak with relief. Can we see her? Marcus asked. One at a time. She's asking for... The doctor checked her notes. Destiny. Marcus nodded. Go. She needs you. Destiny pushed through the curtain and found Eleanor propped up in the hospital bed, pale but awake, connected to a dozen monitors and IV lines. There's my girl, Eleanor said weakly. Destiny rushed to her side and took her hand. Don't you ever scare me like that again. I'll try, but at my age, no promises. This isn't funny. It's a little funny. Eleanor squeezed her hand. I'm old, child. Old hearts give out sometimes. It's the natural order of things. You're not allowed to give out. Not yet. Eleanor's eyes softened. Come here. Destiny leaned closer. I need to tell you something, Eleanor whispered. Something I should have told you months ago. What is it? My son is in love with you. Destiny pulled back, startled. Mrs. Whitmore. Don't Mrs. Whitmore me. I've seen the way he looks at you. I've seen how he lights up when you walk into a room. I've seen him become a better man because of you. We're just friends. Friends don't drive across town in 18 minutes because someone collapsed. Friends don't hold hands in ambulances and promise to never leave. What you two have is more than friendship, and you both know it. Destiny's cheeks burned. Even if that were true, it is true. Even if it were, it's complicated. I was his employee. I was accused of attacking you. The whole world watched our lives fall apart on television. And the whole world watched you tell the truth anyway. Eleanor's grip tightened. Life is short, Destiny. I learned that lying on my breakfast room floor this morning wondering if I'd ever see my son again. Don't waste time on complicated. Don't let fear steal what could be beautiful. I don't know if he feels. He does. Trust me. A mother knows. The curtain rustled. Marcus peeked through. Is she okay? Can I come in? Eleanor smiled at Destiny. Think about what I said. Then she turned to her son. Marcus. Come tell me I'm not dying. This one keeps looking at me like I'm already in the coffin. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of hospital visits, recovery protocols, and careful optimism. Eleanor regained her strength slowly but steadily. The doctors were pleased with her progress. She complained constantly about the hospital food, which everyone took as a good sign. Destiny visited every day after her shift, bringing homemade soup and stories from the geriatric ward. Marcus was always there when she arrived, always reluctant to leave when visiting hours ended. They talked, really talked, about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears, about the future and what it might hold. But neither of them mentioned what Eleanor had said that first day. The words hung between them unspoken, but present like a door waiting to be opened. On the 22nd day, Eleanor was finally discharged. Marcus arranged for a private ambulance to bring her home. Destiny took the day off to help settle her in. Patricia had prepared Eleanor's room with fresh flowers and soft music. "It's good to be home," Eleanor said as Destiny helped her into bed. "That hospital was trying to kill me with their terrible food. Their food saved your life. Their doctors saved my life. Their food was an assault on human dignity." Destiny laughed. It felt good to laugh again. "I'm going to be fine, you know," Eleanor said. "You don't have to hover." "I'm not hovering. I'm caring." "Same thing." But Eleanor was smiling. "Now go find my son and stop avoiding whatever it is you two are avoiding." "We're not avoiding anything." "Child, I just had a heart attack." "Don't lie to a woman who's seen the other side." Destiny found Marcus in his study, staring at his laptop without really seeing it. "Your mother kicked me out," she said. He looked up. "She does that. She also told me to come find you." "She does that too." He closed the laptop. "Destiny, we need to talk." Her stomach tightened. "About what?" "About us. About what's happening here." "Nothing's happening." "Something's happening. We both know it. We've both been dancing around it for months." Destiny sat in the chair across from his desk. "Marcus, let me finish. Please." He took a breath. "I know our history is complicated. I know I made terrible mistakes. I know I believed lies about you and treated you unfairly. But these past 6 months, watching you with my mother, seeing you at the hospital, talking with you late into the night, I've realized something." "What?" "I'm falling in love with you." The words landed between them like a stone in still water. Destiny couldn't breathe. "You can't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because it changes everything." "Maybe everything needs to change?" "Marcus, think about this. The media had a field day with our story. If they found out we were together, they'd twist it into something ugly. They'd say I planned this. They'd say I manipulated you from the beginning. Let them say whatever they want. It's not that simple. Actually, it is." He stood and walked around the desk, stopping directly in front of her. "I spent 2 years with Victoria believing she was perfect, refusing to see who she really was. I was so afraid of being alone that I ignored every warning sign. I let her hurt my mother. I let her hurt you. I'm done being afraid." "This isn't about fear." "Then what is it about?" Destiny looked up at him. "It's about whether we can actually work. You're a billionaire. I'm a nurse from the wrong side of town. Your world and my world, they don't usually mix. They mixed when you threw yourself in front of Victoria to protect my mother. They mixed when you held her hand in that ambulance. They mixed every Sunday when you came to dinner and every night when we talked until neither of us could keep our eyes open." "That's different." "How?" She couldn't answer. Because he was right. Whatever existed between them had been building for months, maybe longer. She had just been too scared to name it. Destiny. Marcus knelt in front of her chair, taking her hands. "I'm not asking you to have all the answers. I'm just asking you to take a chance. With me. On us." Her eyes filled with tears. "What if it doesn't work? What if it does?" She looked at this man who had been so blind and was now seeing so clearly. who had hurt her and then fought to make it right, who had learned from his mistakes instead of repeating them. Maybe that was the real measure of a person. Not whether they fell, but whether they got back up. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay. Okay. I'll take the chance." Marcus's face broke into a smile that transformed him. He pulled her close and held her like she was precious, like she was everything. For the first time in her life, Destiny let herself believe she could have this. Happiness. Love. A future with someone who saw her truly and chose her anyway. She didn't know it then, but their peace was about to be shattered. Because 3,000 miles away in a luxury apartment in Paris, Victoria Sterling was watching. 1 month later, Destiny received a package at the hospital. There was no return address, just her name printed in neat block letters. Inside was a single photograph. Her and Marcus walking hand in hand through the garden at the mansion. The image was slightly grainy, clearly taken from a distance with a telephoto lens. On the back, written in elegant script, "Did you really think I was gone?" Destiny's blood turned to ice. She called Marcus immediately. "We have a problem." 20 minutes later, they sat together in his study, the photograph between them. "She's back," Marcus said grimly. "She never left. She's been watching us." "Why? What does she want?" "Revenge. The same thing she's always wanted." Marcus picked up the phone. "I'm calling the police." "And telling them what? That your ex-fiancée sent me a photograph? That's not illegal. It's stalking. It's a message. She wants us to know she's watching. She wants us to be afraid." "Are you—" Destiny thought about everything she had survived. The accusation, the public humiliation, the lawsuit, the media circus. "No," she said. "I'm angry." Marcus set down the phone. "What do you want to do?" "I want to find out what she's planning and stop it before she can hurt anyone else." "How?" "I don't know yet, but I'm not going to sit here waiting for her to strike. That's what she expects." Over the next 2 weeks, more packages arrived. A newspaper clipping about their relationship with certain passages highlighted. A photo of Destiny entering the hospital taken from across the street. A copy of their foundation's incorporation documents with Marcus's signature circled in red. Each package was untraceable. Each message was subtle but clear. "I'm watching. I'm waiting. I'm coming." Destiny refused to be intimidated. She continued her work at the hospital. She continued visiting Eleanor. She continued building her life with Marcus. But the stress was taking its toll. She started looking over her shoulder constantly. She jumped at unexpected sounds. She had nightmares about Victoria appearing out of nowhere, ready to destroy everything she had built. Eleanor noticed. "You're not sleeping," the elderly woman said during one of Destiny's visits. "I'm fine." "You're lying. You've got circles under your eyes dark enough to scare small children." Destiny laughed despite herself. "Thanks for the confidence boost." "What's wrong?" "And don't tell me nothing. I've known you too long." Destiny hesitated. Marcus had wanted to keep the packages secret from his mother, worried about her fragile heart. But Eleanor deserved the truth. "Victoria's been sending me things. Photos, clippings, messages." Eleanor's face hardened. "That woman again. She's not making direct threats. She's just letting me know she's watching." Psychological warfare, classic Victoria. "You're not surprised." "I'm not surprised she's still obsessed. That's who she is. She can't stand losing, especially to someone she considers beneath her." "What should I do?" Eleanor reached out and took her hand. "The same thing you've always done. Stand tall. Tell the truth. Refuse to be broken." "What if she does something worse?" "Then you deal with it when it comes. You can't live your life waiting for the next attack child. That's how they win, by making you so afraid of what might happen that you forget to enjoy what's happening now." "When did you get so wise?" "I've always been wise. You just weren't listening." 3 days later, Victoria made her move. It started with a news article, Whitmore Foundation under investigation for financial irregularities. Marcus's phone exploded with calls, reporters, board members, donors, everyone wanting answers. There are no irregularities, Marcus told Destiny, pacing his study like a caged animal. Every cent is accounted for. Every donation is documented. Someone planted this story. We know who. But we can't prove it. The story spread like wildfire. Within hours it was picked up by major outlets. Within days, donors started pulling their commitments. Within a week, the foundation that Marcus had built to honor his mother was on the verge of collapse. "She's destroying everything I care about," Marcus said, slumping into his chair. "First, she tried to destroy you. Then my mother. Now the foundation. She's trying to isolate you, cut off everything that matters until you have nothing left. Why? What does she gain? Satisfaction. That's enough for someone like her." Destiny's phone rang. "Unknown number," she answered. "Hello? Did you get my present?" Victoria's voice was honey-sweet and poison-sharp. "I thought Marcus could use some excitement in his life. Leave him alone." "Oh, I'm just getting started. Do you know how easy it is to destroy a reputation? You plant a seed of doubt, and people do the rest themselves. They want to believe the worst about the wealthy. It makes them feel better about their own lives. No one's going to believe your lies. They believed them before. Remember when I told Marcus you attacked his mother?" Destiny's grip tightened on the phone. "That worked out so well for you," she said. "The lawsuit, the video, the complete destruction of your social standing." Victoria laughed. "You think I care about social standing? I care about winning, and right now I'm winning. Your precious foundation is crumbling. Your boyfriend is panicking, and you're scared. I can hear it in your voice." "I'm not scared of you." "You should be. Because what I did to that foundation is just the beginning. By the time I'm done, Marcus Whitmore will have nothing. No money, no reputation, no mother, and no you. If you touch Mrs. Eleanor, touch her. Why would I touch her? I don't need to. Her heart is doing my work for me. All I have to do is wait." Destiny felt rage burning through her veins. "You're sick." "I'm patient. There's a difference." Victoria paused. "Enjoy the next few weeks, Destiny. They'll be your last happy ones." The line went dead. Destiny stood frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear. Marcus was watching her. What did she say? "She threatened your mother. She threatened the foundation. She threatened everything. We need to go to the police." "With what?" "A phone call she'll deny circumstantial evidence. She's too smart to leave proof." "Then what do we do?" Destiny thought about Victoria's words. She said she's patient, that she's waiting. But for what? The foundation investigation. That's just a distraction. She has a bigger plan. How do you know? Because I know her. She doesn't do small. Whatever she's planning, it's going to be devastating. They spent the next week on high alert. Extra security at the mansion. Background checks on everyone who came near the family. Daily sweeps for surveillance devices. Nothing turned up. Victoria was invisible. But Destiny knew she was out there, watching, waiting. And then, on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, everything became clear. Destiny was at the hospital when the news broke. A nurse rushed into the break room, face pale. "You need to see this." The television was showing a press conference. Victoria Sterling stood behind a podium dressed in white, looking angelic and wounded. "I've stayed silent for too long," Victoria was saying. "I was afraid to speak out because of the power and influence of the Whitmore family, but I can't stay silent anymore." Destiny felt her stomach drop. Marcus Whitmore is not the man the public thinks he is. Behind closed doors, he is controlling, manipulative, and abusive. I know because I was his victim. The gathered reporters erupted with questions. During our relationship, Marcus Whitmore subjected me to emotional and psychological abuse. He isolated me from my friends and family. He controlled my finances. And when I tried to leave, he orchestrated a smear campaign using his family's maid as a weapon. Destiny couldn't breathe. The video that went viral, the one that destroyed my reputation, was taken out of context. Yes, I raised my voice that day. Yes, I was upset. But what the video doesn't show is the months of abuse that preceded that moment. What it doesn't show is Marcus Whitmore coaching his maid to provoke me to make me look like the villain. That's a lie. Destiny shouted at the television, but no one could hear her. Victoria continued. I'm sharing my story today because I want other victims to know they're not alone. I want people to see past Marcus Whitmore's wealth and charm to the monster underneath. And I want Destiny Carter to know that the truth always comes out even when powerful men try to bury it. The press conference ended. Victoria was escorted away by lawyers and publicists, the perfect picture of a brave survivor. Destiny's phone was already ringing. Marcus. I saw it, she said before he could speak. She's flipping the entire narrative. She's making herself the victim and me the abuser. No one will believe her. The video proved she attacked my mother. She can't explain that away. She's not trying to explain it. She's recontextualizing it, saying I provoked her, saying you planned it. Destiny heard the fear in his voice. Real fear, the kind that comes from seeing your life unravel in real time. What do we do? He asked. Destiny thought about Eleanor's words. Stand tall, tell the truth, refuse to be broken. We fight back, she said. We tell our side of the story. We show the world who she really is. How? We do exactly what she did. We hold a press conference. We present the evidence. We let people see the truth. My lawyers say we should stay quiet, not engage. Your lawyers are wrong. Silence looks like guilt. If we don't speak, she controls the narrative. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Okay, we do it your way. Tomorrow. Tomorrow it is. Destiny hung up and looked at her reflection in the blank television screen. Victoria wanted a war. Fine, she would get one. The next morning, Destiny and Marcus stood together behind a podium in the Whitmore Mansion's grand ballroom. Reporters filled every seat. Cameras flashed like lightning. Eleanor had insisted on being present. She sat in her wheelchair near the front, Ruth beside her. Marcus spoke first. Yesterday, Victoria Sterling made serious accusations against me and my family. Those accusations are false, every single one of them. A reporter shouted a question, but Marcus held up his hand. I'm not finished. Yes, I was in a relationship with Victoria Sterling. Yes, that relationship ended badly. But the reason it ended is not what she claims. He stepped aside, and Destiny took the podium. My name is Destiny Carter. I was hired as a caregiver for Eleanor Whitmore 8 months ago. During that time, I witnessed Victoria Sterling's true character. She paused, meeting the eyes of the cameras. Victoria didn't just disrespect Mrs. Whitmore. She physically attacked her. She kicked a 78-year-old woman with a heart condition. She threatened to put her in a nursing home to die. She told me to my face that she wished Mrs. Whitmore would just die already. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I know this because I was there. I protected Mrs. Whitmore with my own body. I took the kicks meant for her. And for that, Victoria accused me of being the attacker. The video that went viral, that video shows exactly what happened. There's no context that makes kicking an elderly woman acceptable. There's no provocation that justifies what Victoria did. Eleanor's voice rang out from her wheelchair. I'd like to say something. The room fell silent. Ruth wheeled her toward the podium. Eleanor looked small and frail, but her eyes were fierce. I am Eleanor Whitmore. I am 78 years old. I have a weak heart. And I was attacked by Victoria Sterling in my own home. She gripped the edges of the podium, pulling herself to her feet, despite the doctor's orders. That young woman, she pointed at Destiny, saved my life. She threw herself between me and my attacker. She held me when I couldn't breathe. She stayed with me when everyone else believed the lies. Tears streamed down her weathered cheeks. Victoria Sterling is a liar, a manipulator, and a coward. She attacks the weak because she's afraid of the strong. Well, I may be old, but I am not weak, and I will not let her destroy the people I love. The room erupted. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed frantically, but Eleanor wasn't finished. I have something else to say. To Victoria Sterling directly. The noise died down. You thought you could break my family. You thought you could turn my son against me, destroy an innocent woman's reputation, and walk away clean. But you forgot something. She lifted her chin. Truth always wins. Always. You can lie. You can scheme. You can manipulate. But in the end, truth rises. And when it does, there's nowhere left to hide. She sat back down in her wheelchair, exhausted but triumphant. Marcus stepped to the microphone. We will be providing all evidence of Victoria Sterling's behavior to the appropriate authorities. We will be pursuing legal action for defamation, harassment, and stalking, and we will not be making any further public statements until justice is served. The press conference ended. The Whitmores retreated into the mansion, leaving the reporters to dissect what they had witnessed. Victoria watched the whole thing from her Paris apartment, her perfectly manicured nails digging into the arms of her chair. She had expected Marcus to cower, to let his lawyers handle things, to hide behind his money and his privilege. She had not expected Destiny to fight back. She had not expected Eleanor to stand up and testify. She had not expected the unified front that now stood against her. But she was not defeated. Not yet. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. It's me, she said when the call connected. I need you to do something. Something that will end this once and for all. What did you have in mind? Victoria smiled, a cold, dangerous smile. The old woman is the key. Everyone loves her. Everyone protects her. But what happens when she's gone? You want me to? I want you to visit the Whitmore mansion, tonight. And I want you to make sure Eleanor Whitmore doesn't see another sunrise. There was a pause on the other end of the line. That's murder. That's justice. $5 million. Cash. Untraceable. Another pause. Then, I'll need the security codes. I'll have them within the hour. Victoria hung up and poured herself a glass of champagne. By morning, Eleanor Whitmore would be dead. Marcus would be devastated. And Destiny would finally understand what it meant to cross Victoria Sterling. She raised her glass to the empty room. Checkmate. But Victoria had made a mistake. She didn't know that her phone had been tapped. She didn't know that the private investigator Marcus hired 6 months ago had traced her calls. She didn't know that everything she just said was being recorded. And she didn't know that at that very moment the recording was being delivered to the Savannah Police Department. Her perfect plan was about to fall apart. And this time, there would be no escape. The recording arrived at the Savannah Police Department at exactly 9:47 p.m. Detective Marcus Reynolds had been about to leave for the night when his partner dropped the file on his desk. You're going to want to hear this, Detective Sarah Chen said. It's about the Whitmore case. Reynolds pressed play. Victoria Sterling's voice filled the room clear and damning. I want you to visit the Whitmore mansion. Tonight. And I want you to make sure Eleanor Whitmore doesn't see another sunrise. Reynolds stopped breathing. That's murder. That's justice. $5 million. Cash. Untraceable. He looked at Chen. When did this come in? 20 minutes ago. Anonymous source but verified authentic. She's hiring a hitman to kill an elderly woman. Looks that way. Reynolds grabbed his jacket. Get a team together. We need to get to the Whitmore mansion now. What about Victoria Sterling? Contact Interpol. She's in Paris. I want her detained before she can run." At the Whitmore mansion, Destiny was helping Eleanor prepare for bed. The press conference had exhausted the elderly woman, but her eyes still sparkled with defiance. "We showed her," Eleanor said as Destiny fluffed her pillows. "We showed the whole world. You were incredible today, standing up like that, saying what you said. I meant every word. That woman doesn't get to win, not after everything she's done." Destiny kissed her forehead. "Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be a long day." "Will you stay tonight? Marcus said you could use the guest room." "I wasn't planning to leave," Eleanor smiled. "Good. I sleep better knowing you're here." Destiny turned off the lamp and crept toward the door. "Destiny." "Yes. Thank you. For everything. For fighting when I couldn't. For believing in my son when he didn't deserve it. For becoming the daughter I never had." Destiny's eyes filled with tears. "You're the mother I always wished for." She closed the door softly and walked down the hallway, her heart full despite the chaos surrounding them. She didn't know that at that very moment, a man was scaling the back wall of the Whitmore estate. His name was Viktor Kozlov. Former military, current mercenary, completely without conscience. He had received the security codes 30 minutes ago. He knew the patrol schedule. He knew which rooms were occupied. He knew exactly where to find Eleanor Whitmore. What he didn't know was that 12 police cars were currently racing toward the same destination. Marcus was in his study, reviewing the legal documents his lawyers had prepared. The defamation suit against Victoria was airtight. Combined with the stalking evidence and the Foundation's sabotage, they had enough to destroy her. But something felt wrong. He couldn't shake the feeling that Victoria wasn't finished, that she had one more card to play. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. "Hello, Mr. Whitmore. This is Detective Marcus Reynolds with the Savannah Police Department. I need you to listen very carefully." "What's going on?" "We've intercepted a communication indicating that someone has been hired to kill your mother tonight. We have units en route, but I need you to secure the premises immediately." Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. "What?" "Victoria Sterling hired a hitman. He may already be on your property. Do not confront him. Get your family to a safe location and wait for us." Marcus was already running. "Destiny, Destiny." She emerged from the hallway alarmed. "What's wrong?" "Someone's coming to kill my mother. The police are on their way, but we need to move her now." Destiny didn't hesitate. She sprinted back toward Eleanor's room. Marcus followed, his heart pounding so hard he could barely breathe. This couldn't be happening. Not now. Not after everything they'd survived. Destiny burst through Eleanor's door. "Mrs. Whitmore, we need to move. Right now." Eleanor was sitting up in bed, confused. "What's happening?" "There's no time to explain. We have to go." She helped Eleanor out of bed and into her wheelchair. Marcus grabbed blankets, threw them over his mother, and started pushing toward the panic room on the first floor. "Marcus, what's going on?" Eleanor demanded. "Victoria hired someone to hurt you. The police are coming, but we need to hide until they get here." Eleanor's face went pale. "That woman is insane." "I know. Just hold on." They made it to the first floor when the lights went out. Complete darkness. Destiny grabbed Marcus's arm. "The backup generator should have kicked in." "Someone cut the power." "He's here." Marcus pulled out his phone, using the flashlight to illuminate the hallway. "The panic room is 30 feet ahead. We can make it." A sound from behind them. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. "Go," Destiny whispered. "I'll distract him." "Absolutely not. Marcus, your mother is the target. Get her to safety. I'll buy you time." "I'm not leaving you." "You're not leaving me. You're protecting her. That's what matters." Before he could argue, Destiny grabbed a heavy candlestick from a nearby table and slipped into the darkness. Marcus hesitated for one agonizing second. Then he pushed Eleanor's wheelchair toward the panic room as fast as he could. Destiny moved silently through the dark mansion, her heart hammering against her ribs. She had no idea what she was doing. She wasn't a fighter. She wasn't trained for this. She was a nurse from the wrong side of town who had somehow ended up in the middle of a nightmare. But she had protected Eleanor once before. She would do it again. A shadow moved to her left. She swung the candlestick with all her strength. It connected with something solid. A grunt of pain. Then a hand grabbed her wrist and twisted, sending the candlestick clattering to the floor. "Brave," a voice said in accented English. "Stupid but brave." A flashlight clicked on, blinding her. She could make out the silhouette of a large man, military fit, with cold eyes and a gun in his other hand. "Where is the old woman?" Destiny's chin lifted. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't waste my time. I know she's here. Tell me where, and I'll make this quick, for both of you." "Go to hell." He smiled. It was the most terrifying thing she had ever seen. "Wrong answer." He raised the gun. Destiny closed her eyes, thinking of her mother, thinking of Eleanor, thinking of Marcus. At least she had tried. At least she hadn't given up. The gun fired. But the bullet didn't hit her. It hit the wall beside her head, because at that exact moment 4 police officers crashed through the front door with their weapons drawn. "Police, drop your weapon." The hitman spun, firing twice. Officers scattered. Destiny threw herself to the ground, crawling toward cover as chaos erupted around her. More shots, shouting, the sound of bodies colliding. Then silence. "Clear," a voice called out. "Suspect down." Destiny looked up. The hitman lay motionless on the marble floor, surrounded by officers. Blood pooled beneath him. Detective Reynolds appeared beside her, helping her to her feet. "Are you hurt?" "No, I don't think so." "Where's Mrs. Whitmore?" "The panic room. First floor, East Wing." Reynolds spoke into his radio. "We need confirmation on the primary target. East Wing panic room." 30 seconds later, a response crackled back. "Primary target secured. No injuries." Destiny's legs gave out. Reynolds caught her before she hit the floor. "It's over," he said. "You're safe." "Eleanor." "She's fine. Your quick thinking probably saved her life." Destiny started to cry. Not gentle tears, but deep, racking sobs that shook her entire body. The fear, the adrenaline, the overwhelming relief, it all came pouring out at once. She had almost died. Eleanor had almost died. All because of one woman's obsession with revenge. When would it end? When would they finally be free? Marcus found her 20 minutes later, sitting on the front steps of the mansion, wrapped in a blanket. Police cars filled the driveway, their lights painting everything in red and blue. He sat down beside her, without speaking. For a long moment, they just watched the chaos together. "She tried to kill my mother," he finally said. "I know. She hired someone to come into our home and murder an innocent old woman." "I know. If the police hadn't intercepted that call..." "They did. That's what matters." Marcus turned to look at her. "You went after him. You took a candlestick and walked into the darkness to face an armed killer." "I wasn't thinking." "You were thinking about my mother. About protecting her. That's all I've ever tried to do." He pulled her close and she let him. They held each other as the police secured the scene, as paramedics checked Eleanor, as the nightmare slowly began to fade into something like reality. "I love you," Marcus whispered into her hair. "I know," she said. "I love you too." It wasn't the romantic confession either of them had imagined. It was better. It was real, forged in crisis, tested by fire, stronger than anything Victoria Sterling could throw at them. Detective Reynolds approached. "Mr. Whitmore, Miss Carter, I need to update you on the situation." They both stood. "Victor Kozlov, the man who infiltrated your property, is dead. He was shot during the confrontation with our officers." Marcus nodded. "And Victoria? French authorities have detained her at her Paris apartment. She's being held for conspiracy to commit murder. We're working with Interpol to arrange extradition. Will she face trial here? Absolutely. Between the recorded phone call, the financial trail to Kozlov, and the evidence of stalking and harassment, she's looking at multiple felony charges. If convicted, she'll spend the rest of her life in prison. Destiny felt something loosen in her chest. Something she hadn't realized she'd been holding since that first day in the Whitmore parlor, when Victoria kicked Eleanor and screamed at her. It was finally over. Really, truly over. 2 days later, Victoria Sterling was escorted off a plane at Savannah Hilton Head International Airport in handcuffs. She had fought extradition for exactly 36 hours before her lawyers told her it was hopeless. The evidence was overwhelming. The French wanted nothing to do with her. Her only chance was to cooperate and hope for a reduced sentence. But Victoria Sterling had never cooperated with anyone in her life. She walked through the terminal with her head high, ignoring the cameras that flashed in her face, ignoring the reporters who shouted questions, ignoring the security guards who flanked her on both sides. She was Victoria Sterling. She did not break. She did not bend. Until she saw Destiny Carter standing at the edge of the crowd. Their eyes met. Victoria's composure cracked. Just for a moment. Just long enough for Destiny to see the fear beneath the arrogance, the desperation beneath the defiance. "You think you've won?" Victoria called out as she was led past. "This isn't over." Destiny didn't respond. She just watched as the woman who had tormented her for nearly a year was loaded into a police van and driven away. Marcus appeared beside her. "You didn't have to come." "Yes, I did. I needed to see it with my own eyes." And Destiny watched the police van disappear around a corner. She looked smaller than I remembered. Monsters always do once you're not afraid of them anymore. They walked out of the airport together, leaving the cameras and the chaos behind. The trial began 6 weeks later. Victoria Sterling's lawyers tried every trick in the book. They claimed entrapment. They claimed the recording was fabricated. They claimed their client was mentally ill and therefore not responsible for her actions. None of it worked. The jury heard Victoria's voice calm and clear, ordering the murder of an elderly woman. They heard the financial evidence linking her to Viktor Kozlov. They heard testimony from Destiny, from Marcus, from Eleanor herself, describing months of harassment and intimidation. They deliberated for less than 4 hours. On the charge of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree, how does the jury find guilty? On the charge of stalking in the first degree, guilty. On the charge of criminal harassment, guilty. On the charge of defamation with malicious intent, guilty. Victoria stood motionless as the verdicts were read. Her face showed nothing, but her hands gripping the edge of the defendant's table trembled violently. She was sentenced 3 weeks later, life in prison without the possibility of parole. As she was led from the courtroom, she passed directly in front of the Whitmore family. Eleanor sat in her wheelchair, Destiny beside her, Marcus standing protectively behind them. Victoria stopped. The bailiffs tried to move her along, but she planted her feet. "I hope you're happy," she said to Destiny. "You took everything from me." Destiny met her eyes without flinching. "No, you did that yourself. I just refused to let you take anything from anyone else." Victoria opened her mouth to respond, but the bailiffs pulled her away before she could say another word. She was gone. Really, finally, completely gone. Eleanor reached up and took Destiny's hand. "It's over." Destiny squeezed back. "It's over." They walked out of the courthouse together into the bright Georgia sunshine, into a future that finally felt like their own. 3 months after the trial, the Eleanor Whitmore Trust held its first anniversary gala. The foundation had not only survived Victoria's sabotage, it had thrived. The scandal had brought attention. Attention had brought donors. Donors had brought resources that allowed the foundation to expand beyond anything Marcus had originally imagined. They now provided scholarships for nursing students. safe housing for domestic workers escaping abusive situations, legal aid for caregivers wrongfully accused. Everything that Destiny had wished existed when she was going through her own nightmare. The gala was held in the Whitmore Mansion's grand ballroom. Hundreds of guests filled the space: donors, volunteers, recipients, journalists, politicians. But the real guest of honor was Eleanor. She sat at the head table, dressed in her finest blue gown, a tiara in her silver hair that Marcus had surprised her with that morning. "You look like a queen," Destiny told her. "I feel like one," Eleanor replied. "A very tired queen who's wondering when she can sneak off to bed. Not until after your speech." "Remind me why I agreed to give a speech." "Because you said, and I quote, 'I've got things to say, and people need to hear them.'" Eleanor laughed. "That does sound like me." When the time came, Marcus helped his mother to the podium. The room fell silent as Eleanor gripped the microphone with trembling hands. "1 year ago," she began, "I was lying on my breakfast room floor, wondering if I'd ever see my son again. I thought my life was ending. I thought I'd lost everything that mattered." She paused, collecting herself. "But I was wrong, because even in my darkest moment, I wasn't alone. There was a young woman, a stranger really, who threw herself between me and danger, who held me when I couldn't breathe, who fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself." She looked at Destiny. "That young woman saved my life, not just physically, but spiritually. She reminded me that goodness exists in this world, even when it seems like darkness is winning." Tears rolled down Eleanor's cheeks, but she didn't stop. "This foundation exists because of her courage, because of her compassion, because she showed my family what it truly means to care for another human being." She lifted her glass. "To Destiny Carter, the daughter I never had, the hero I never expected, the heart of everything we're trying to build here." The room erupted in applause. People rose to their feet. Destiny sat frozen, overwhelmed by the love pouring toward her from every direction. Marcus leaned down and whispered in her ear, "That's your cue. I can't go up there. You have to. She's waiting." Destiny stood on legs that felt like jelly and made her way to the podium. Eleanor embraced her, then stepped aside. Destiny looked out at the sea of faces. She saw colleagues from the hospital, friends from nursing school, her sister Jasmine crying in the third row, Ruth dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief. She saw a room full of people who believed in her, who saw her not as a maid or a servant or a nobody from the wrong side of town, but as someone who mattered. "When I was a little girl," she began, her voice shaking, "my mother used to tell me something. She said, 'Destiny, you can't choose what the world calls you, but you can choose who you answer to.'" She took a breath. "For a long time, I didn't understand what that meant. I thought it was about ignoring what people said about me, about developing thick skin and powering through." She shook her head. "But that's not it. What my mother was really saying is that we all have a choice. Every day, every moment, we choose what kind of person we're going to be. We choose whether to act out of love or fear, whether to protect the vulnerable or exploit them, whether to tell the truth or hide behind lies." She looked at Eleanor. "When I walked into the Whitmore Mansion 8 months ago, I was just a caregiver doing a job. I didn't expect to find a family. I didn't expect to find love. I certainly didn't expect to end up at the center of a scandal that would change my life forever." A soft laugh rippled through the audience. "But here's what I've learned. The hardest thing in the world isn't facing down enemies. It's not fighting for your reputation or surviving public humiliation. The hardest thing is staying true to yourself when everything and everyone is telling you to be someone else." She paused. Mrs. Whitmore Eleanor didn't need me to save her life. She needed me to remind her that she was worth saving, that her dignity mattered, that her voice deserved to be heard. That's what this foundation is about. Not charity, not pity, recognition. Every caregiver, every domestic worker, every person who spends their life serving others, they deserve to be seen. They deserve to be valued. They deserve to know that what they do matters. She raised her glass. To Eleanor, who taught me what grace looks like. To Marcus, who learned that truth is more important than comfort. To everyone in this room who believes that kindness is not weakness, but strength. And to my mother who's watching from somewhere better than this. Mama, I hope I made you proud. The applause was thunderous. People were crying openly. Even Marcus, who never cried in public, had tears streaming down his face. Destiny stepped away from the podium and into Eleanor's waiting arms. You made me proud, Eleanor whispered, every single day. Later that evening, after the guests had gone and the staff had cleaned up, Destiny and Marcus walked together through the mansion's garden. The night was warm, filled with the scent of magnolias and the sound of crickets. Stars scattered across the sky like scattered diamonds. Big day, Marcus said. The biggest. You were incredible up there. I was terrified. That's what made it incredible. They stopped beside the fountain, the same spot where almost a year ago Victoria had stood smiling as Destiny was thrown out of the house in disgrace. Hard to believe how much has changed, Destiny said. Hard to believe you're still here after everything I put you through. You didn't put me through anything. Victoria did. I believed her. I fired you. I threw you out into the rain. And then you fought to make it right. That's what matters. Marcus turned to face her. There's something I need to ask you. Destiny's heart started beating faster. What? He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Marcus. Let me finish. He dropped to one knee. Destiny Carter, you walked into my life when I was at my worst. You saw through my blindness. You protected my mother when I couldn't. You showed me what it means to be a good person. He opened the box. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, perfect. I know I don't deserve you. I know I have to spend the rest of my life earning your trust. But I want to spend that life with you. I want to wake up next to you every morning and fall asleep beside you every night. I want to build something beautiful together. Will you marry me? Destiny stared at the ring, then at Marcus, then at the ring again. A year ago, she had been nobody, a struggling caregiver with empty pockets and borrowed time. Now she was standing in a garden with a man who loved her, being offered a future she never dared to imagine. Yes, she whispered. Yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger and rose to his feet. He pulled her close and kissed her under the stars in the garden of the house where they had both been broken and both been rebuilt. Watching from an upstairs window, Eleanor smiled and wiped away a tear. About time, she murmured to herself. About damn time. The engagement was announced the next morning. Within hours, it was national news. The media couldn't get enough of the story, the billionaire and the maid who had stood against a monster and emerged victorious. But Destiny didn't care about the media. She cared about the woman lying in the hospital bed in front of her. Mrs. Patterson, her favorite patient, had taken a turn for the worse. I saw the news, Mrs. Patterson said weakly. You're going to be a rich man's wife. Destiny smiled. I'm going to be a good man's wife. The rich part is just a bonus. Will you still come visit me after you're Mrs. Whitmore? I'll visit you every day until you get tired of seeing my face. I could never get tired of your face. Mrs. Patterson reached for her hand. You've been so good to me, like a daughter. You've been good to me too, like a grandmother. Mrs. Patterson's eyes filled with tears. I don't have much time left. Don't say that. It's true, and we both know it. But I'm not scared. You know why? Why? Because I know there are people like you in this world. People who care. People who show up. People who make the hard days a little easier. She squeezed Destiny's hand. You're going to do amazing things, Destiny Carter. You already have. And when I'm gone, I'll be watching from heaven, bragging to everyone about the nurse who became a princess." Destiny laughed through her tears. "I'm not a princess. You are to me." Mrs. Patterson died 3 days later peacefully in her sleep. Destiny was at her bedside holding her hand just as she had promised. The funeral was small but beautiful. Mrs. Patterson had no family left, so Destiny organized everything herself. The flowers, the music, the eulogy. Marcus came. Eleanor came. Even Ruth came, though she'd never met Mrs. Patterson in her life. "She mattered to you," Ruth said simply. "That means she matters to us." After the service, Destiny stood alone at the graveside, watching the workers lower the casket into the ground. Marcus approached quietly. "You okay?" "No, but I will be. She was lucky to have you." "I was lucky to have her. She reminded me why I became a nurse in the first place. Not for the money or the prestige, for moments like this, for being there when it matters." She looked at him. "That's what I want our foundation to be about, not just scholarships and legal aid. I want it to be about connection, about making sure no one has to die alone, about making sure every patient has someone holding their hand at the end." Marcus nodded. "Then that's what we'll do." They left the cemetery together hand in hand, carrying Mrs. Patterson's memory with them into whatever came next. The wedding took place 6 months later in the garden of the Whitmore mansion. It was exactly what Destiny had dreamed of, small, intimate, surrounded by the people who mattered most. Jasmine was the maid of honor. Ruth was the wedding coordinator. And Eleanor, despite her doctor's protests, insisted on walking Destiny down the aisle. "This is too much for you," Destiny had argued. "Nonsense. I've been waiting my whole life to give away a daughter. I'm not missing it because of a little heart trouble." So Eleanor wheeled herself down the aisle beside Destiny, both of them in white, both of them crying, both of them exactly where they wanted to be. Marcus waited at the altar, tears streaming down his face, looking at Destiny like she was the most precious thing in the world. The ceremony was simple. Traditional vows, a reading from Eleanor, a hymn that Destiny's mother used to sing. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, the small crowd erupted in cheers. But Destiny barely heard them. All she could see was Marcus's face. All she could feel was his arms around her. All she could think was, "I made it. After everything, I made it." That night, after the reception ended and the guests went home, Destiny found Eleanor sitting alone in the garden. "You should be resting," Destiny said. "I'll rest when I'm dead." Eleanor patted the seat beside her. "Sit with me." Destiny sat. "I want to tell you something," Eleanor said. "Something I've never told anyone." "What?" "When my husband left, I wanted to die. I spent months in bed, barely eating, barely living. Marcus was just a boy. He needed me. But I couldn't find the strength to care." She paused. "And then one day I realized something. I wasn't just hurting myself. I was hurting him. I was teaching him that when life gets hard, you give up, that love isn't worth fighting for. So I got up, I got dressed, I made breakfast. And I kept going day after day, year after year, until getting up stopped feeling like a battle and started feeling like a choice." She turned to look at Destiny. "That's what you are, child. A choice. The best choice my son ever made. The best choice this family ever got." Destiny's eyes filled with tears. "You've given me everything. A home, a family, a future." "No." Eleanor shook her head. "You've given us everything. We were broken before you came. Marcus was empty. I was fading. Victoria was poison, and we were too blind to see it." Again, she took Destiny's hand. "You saved us, all of us, and I will spend whatever time I have left thanking God for sending you to our door." They sat together in the darkness, Two women who had survived storms and emerged stronger. Above them, the stars wheeled slowly across the sky. And somewhere watching from a place beyond time, Destiny's mother smiled. Her daughter had found her way home. 2 years had passed since the wedding in the garden, and Destiny Whitmore still woke up every morning amazed at how far she had come. She stood in the bathroom of the master suite, staring at her reflection, her hand pressed against her stomach. The pregnancy test on the counter showed 2 pink lines. 2 years of marriage. 2 years of building the foundation. 2 years of healing from everything Victoria had done. And now this. Destiny. Marcus's voice came from the bedroom. You've been in there a long time. Everything okay? She opened the door. He was sitting up in bed, worry creasing his forehead. I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air between them. Marcus stared at her. What? I'm pregnant. We're going to have a baby. He was out of bed and across the room before she could take another breath. He lifted her off her feet and spun her around, laughing and crying at the same time. A baby. We're having a baby. Put me down. I'm going to be sick. He set her down immediately, his face shifting to concern. Sorry. Are you okay? Do you need water? Should I call a doctor? Destiny laughed through her tears. I'm fine. It's just morning sickness. Apparently it's normal. Morning sickness. Right. I read about that. He paused. I should read more about that. You have 9 months to become an expert. Marcus pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. I can't believe it. After everything we've been through, a baby. Are you happy? Happy doesn't even begin to cover it. They stood together in the early morning light, holding each other, dreaming of the future they were about to create. But there was one person Destiny needed to tell before anyone else. She found Eleanor in the garden, sitting in her wheelchair watching the birds at the feeder Marcus had installed for her 80th birthday. You're up early, Eleanor said without turning around. I have news. Good news or bad news? The best news. Eleanor turned her wheelchair to face Destiny. Her eyes were still sharp despite the years, despite the heart attacks and the hospital stays and the constant battle to keep breathing. Well, don't keep an old woman waiting. Destiny sat on the bench beside her and took her hands. You're going to be a grandmother. Eleanor's eyes went wide. For a moment she didn't speak. Her lips trembled. Her hands tightened around Destiny's. A grandmother, she whispered. After all this time, a grandmother. Are you happy? Happy! Eleanor laughed, a sound that turned into a sob, that turned into a laugh again. Child, I've been praying for this day, since the moment my son put that ring on your finger. She pulled Destiny into her arms, holding her as tight as her frail body would allow. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for giving this family a future. You gave me the family. I'm just adding to it. They held each other as the sun rose higher, as the birds sang their morning songs, as life continued its beautiful, relentless march forward. The pregnancy was not easy. Destiny had severe morning sickness for the first 3 months. She was exhausted constantly. Her back ached, her feet swelled. She had cravings for bizarre food combinations that made Marcus run to the grocery store at 3 in the morning. But through it all, she never stopped working. The Eleanor Whitmore Trust had grown beyond anything they had imagined. They now operated in 12 states, providing support to thousands of caregivers and domestic workers every year. Destiny had become the face of the organization, speaking at conferences, lobbying for policy changes, fighting for the people who had no one else to fight for them. You need to slow down, Marcus told her one evening when she came home exhausted from a fundraising event. I can't slow down. There's too much to do. There's always too much to do. But you're 7 months pregnant. The doctor said I'm fine. The doctor said you need to reduce stress. My stress is thinking about all the people we haven't helped yet. Marcus took her hands. Destiny, look at me. She looked. I love that you care so much. I love that you want to save everyone. But you can't save anyone if you don't take care of yourself first. I know. Do you? Because it seems like you're trying to prove something. Like you're afraid that if you stop moving, everything will fall apart. She looked away. Maybe I am. Why? Because that's what happens. Every time I've had something good, it's been taken away. My mother, my job, my reputation. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. The shoe already dropped. Victoria's in prison for life. The foundation is thriving. We're having a baby. He cupped her face in his hands. It's okay to be happy, Destiny. It's okay to believe that good things can last. She closed her eyes. I'm trying. I know you are. And I'm here. Every step of the way. You don't have to carry everything alone anymore. She let herself lean into him, let herself be held, let herself believe just for a moment that maybe he was right. Maybe good things could last. The next morning, everything changed. Destiny woke to the sound of Ruth screaming. She was out of bed and running before she fully understood what was happening. Marcus was right behind her. They found Ruth in the hallway outside Eleanor's room, her face white with terror. She's not breathing, Ruth gasped. I went to wake her for breakfast and she's not breathing. Marcus pushed past her into the room. Eleanor lay motionless in her bed, her face peaceful, her hands folded across her chest. Call 911, Marcus shouted. Destiny was already on the phone. This is Destiny Whitmore. I need an ambulance at the Whitmore estate immediately. Elderly female not breathing, suspected cardiac arrest. She threw the phone to Ruth and ran to Eleanor's side. Her nursing training took over. She checked for pulse. Nothing. She started CPR, counting compressions, forcing air into lungs that didn't want to breathe. Come on, Eleanor. Come on. Don't do this. Not now. Not like this. Marcus stood frozen in the doorway, watching Destiny fight for his mother's life. Please, he whispered. Please, God. Please. The paramedics arrived in 8 minutes. They took over CPR. They used the defibrillator. They pumped Eleanor full of drugs designed to restart her heart. Nothing worked. At 7:23 a.m., Eleanor Whitmore was pronounced dead. She was 82 years old. She had lived a full life. She had seen her son marry the woman who saved her. She had held her grandson in her arms. Wait. She hadn't. The baby wasn't born yet. She would never hold her grandchild. Destiny collapsed. Marcus caught her before she hit the floor. He held her as she sobbed as the paramedics covered Eleanor's face with a sheet, as the world they had built together crumbled around them. She's gone. Destiny wept. She's really gone. I know. She never got to meet the baby. She was so excited. She never got to... Her voice broke. She couldn't speak anymore. All she could do was cry and shake and cling to Marcus like he was the only solid thing left in the universe. The funeral was held 5 days later. Hundreds of people came. Politicians, business leaders, foundation recipients, hospital staff. Everyone whose life Eleanor had touched over her 82 years. Destiny wanted to speak, but she couldn't. Every time she tried to write a eulogy, she broke down. So Marcus spoke instead, his voice steady even as tears streamed down his face. My mother was not a perfect person, he said. She could be stubborn, opinionated, demanding. She had a way of making you feel like you were simultaneously the most loved and the most frustrating person in the world. A soft laugh rippled through the crowd. But she was also the bravest person I've ever known. When my father left, she didn't crumble. She got up. She kept going. She raised me on her own, worked 2 jobs, made sure I had every opportunity she never had. When she was attacked in her own home, she didn't retreat. She testified. She stood up in front of cameras and told the truth, even though it was hard, even though it was scary. And when a young woman came into her life, a woman I was too blind to see clearly, my mother recognized her immediately. She saw Destiny's heart when I saw only her position. She saw Destiny's courage when I saw only what I wanted to believe. He looked at Destiny, sitting in the front row, her face swollen from crying. My mother's last gift to me was showing me what love really looks like. Not the pretty performative kind, the real kind. The kind that protects. The kind that tells the truth. The kind that sees people for who they really are. She's gone now. But what she taught me, what she taught all of us that doesn't die. It lives on in this foundation, in this family, in every act of kindness we perform in her name. He raised his eyes to the sky. I love you, Mom. I'll see you again someday. Until then, I promise to make you proud. After the funeral, Destiny retreated into herself. She stopped going to foundation events. She stopped taking calls from reporters. She stopped doing anything except sitting in Eleanor's garden, staring at the bird feeder, waiting for something that would never come. Marcus tried to reach her. You have to eat. You have to rest. The baby. I know about the baby. Then why aren't you taking care of yourself? Because I don't know how to do this without her. Marcus sat beside her on the bench. Do what? Any of it. Be a mother. Run the foundation. Live in this house where everywhere I look I see her face. Destiny's voice cracked. She believed in me when no one else did. She called me the daughter she never had. And now she's gone and I don't know who I am without her. You're still you. Am I? Because it feels like part of me died with her. Marcus took her hand. That's grief. That's normal. But you can't let it swallow you. Eleanor wouldn't want that. I know what Eleanor would want. She'd want me to stand up and keep fighting. She'd want me to be strong for the baby and the foundation and you. But I don't know if I can be strong anymore. I'm so tired, Marcus. I've been fighting my whole life. I don't know if I have any fight left. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Remember what you told me once about your mother? Destiny looked at him. You said she used to tell you, you can't choose what the world calls you, but you can choose who you answer to. You said that's what kept you going when Victoria was trying to destroy you. I remember. So answer to Eleanor. Answer to your mother. Answer to the baby growing inside you right now. They're all counting on you. Not to be perfect. Not to be strong every second of every day. Just to keep going. One foot in front of the other. That's all any of us can do. Destiny's eyes filled with tears. When did you get so wise? I learned from the wisest women I know. She leaned into him, letting his arms wrap around her, letting herself feel for the first time since Eleanor died, like maybe she could survive this. Maybe she could do more than survive. Maybe she could live. 2 months later, Destiny went into labor. It was 3 weeks early. The doctor said not to worry that babies came when they were ready, and this baby was clearly ready. But Destiny was terrified. What if something goes wrong? She gasped between contractions. Nothing's going to go wrong. What if I can't do this? You can do anything. What if I'm not a good mother? Marcus squeezed her hand. You're going to be the best mother in the world, because you know what it feels like to have nothing, which means you'll make sure our child never feels that way. 12 hours of labor. 12 hours of pain and fear, and Marcus refusing to leave her side even when she screamed at him to get out. And then at 3:47 a.m., their daughter was born. She weighed 6 pounds 4 ounces. She had her father's eyes and her mother's stubborn chin. She screamed like she had something important to say and didn't care who heard it. She's perfect, the doctor said, placing the baby in Destiny's arms. Destiny looked down at her daughter and felt something shift inside her. All the grief, all the fear, all the uncertainty. It didn't disappear, but it made room for something else. Love. The fiercest, most overwhelming love she had ever felt. Hi, baby girl, she whispered. I'm your mama. I've been waiting for you my whole life. Marcus leaned over them both, tears streaming down his face. What are we going to name her? Destiny already knew. She had known since the day Eleanor died. Grace Eleanor Whitmore. Marcus's breath caught. Grace, for your mother's favorite hymn. And Eleanor, for the woman who made all of this possible. He kissed her forehead, then Grace's. It's perfect. She's perfect. You're perfect. I'm exhausted. That too. They laughed together, their new daughter between them, their future finally beginning. The first year of Grace's life was a blur of sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and more joy than Destiny had ever thought possible. She learned that being a mother was nothing like she expected. It was harder. It was messier. It was more exhausting than running a foundation, surviving a scandal, and fighting off a murderous ex-fiancé combined. But it was also more beautiful. Grace took her first steps on Eleanor's birthday. Destiny and Marcus stood in the garden in the exact spot where Eleanor used to watch the birds and watch their daughter wobble toward them on unsteady legs. She's walking, Marcus breathed. She's actually walking. Of course she is. She's Eleanor's granddaughter. She's not going to let a little thing like gravity stop her. Grace reached them and promptly fell on her bottom. She looked up at her parents with an expression of profound indignation, as if the laws of physics had personally offended her. Then she laughed. And Destiny and Marcus laughed with her, holding each other, holding their daughter, holding on to the happiness they had fought so hard to build. The foundation continued to grow. By Grace's second birthday, the Eleanor Whitmore Trust was operating in 23 states and had helped over 50,000 caregivers access resources they desperately needed. But it was a single letter that reminded Destiny why she had started this work in the first place. The letter came from a woman named Maria. She was a home health aide in Florida, caring for an elderly man with dementia. The man's family had accused her of theft when jewelry went missing, jewelry that was later found hidden in the man's own sock drawer. I was fired immediately, Maria wrote. No investigation, no chance to defend myself. I lost my job, my income, my reputation. I had 3 children to feed and no way to feed them. Then I found your foundation. Your lawyers proved my innocence. Your scholarship helped me finish nursing school. Your emergency fund kept my family from losing our home. I don't know how to thank you, but I want you to know that because of you I didn't give up. Because of you, I'm now a registered nurse with a good job and a future. Because of you, my children know that the truth matters, even when powerful people try to bury it. You saved my life, Mrs. Whitmore. I'll spend the rest of mine paying it forward. Destiny read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down her face. This was why. This was the reason for all of it. The suffering, the struggle, the years of fighting, just to be seen as a human being. Not so she could become rich. Not so she could marry a billionaire. Not so she could live in a mansion and never worry about money again. But so she could help people like Maria. People like herself. People who had no one else to fight for them. That was Eleanor's legacy. That was her mother's legacy. And now it was her legacy too. 5 years after Eleanor's death, Destiny stood at the podium of the Foundation's annual gala. Grace sat in the front row with Marcus wearing a tiny dress that matched her mother's, fidgeting with excitement. When I was a little girl, Destiny began. I never imagined I would be standing here. I grew up with nothing. I worked my way through nursing school. I took jobs that no one else wanted because I needed to survive. And then I met a family that changed everything. A woman named Eleanor Whitmore saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. She called me brave when I felt weak. She called me strong when I felt broken. She called me the daughter she never had when I felt like I had no one. She paused, gathering herself. Eleanor died 5 years ago today, but her spirit lives on in this foundation. In every caregiver we help, in every worker we protect, in every person who knows that their dignity matters, that their voice matters, that they matter. I used to think that justice was about punishing the guilty. But Eleanor taught me something different. She taught me that justice is about lifting up the innocent. It's about giving people the chance to become who they were meant to be. She looked at Grace, who was waving at her from Marcus's lap. My daughter's middle name is Eleanor, and every day I tell her stories about her grandmother. About how she stood up to bullies. About how she told the truth even when it was hard. About how she loved fiercely and forgave generously and never ever gave up. That's the legacy I want to leave. Not buildings or money or headlines, but the knowledge that kindness wins, that truth prevails, that no matter how dark things get, there's always a reason to keep fighting. She raised her glass. To Eleanor Whitmore, to every caregiver who has ever been dismissed or abused or forgotten, and to the future, we're building together one act of compassion at a time. The applause washed over her like a wave, but Destiny barely heard it. She was looking at Marcus and Grace, at the family she had found against all odds, at the life she had built from the ashes of everything she had lost. 10 years. That's how long it had been since she first walked into the Whitmore mansion as a nervous caregiver with nothing to her name. 10 years since Victoria Sterling kicked her and called her worthless. 10 years since Marcus believed a lie and threw her out in the rain. 10 years since she discovered the security footage that changed everything. And now here she was. Destiny Whitmore. Wife, mother, philanthropist, voice for the voiceless. Not bad for a girl from the wrong side of town. After the gala, Destiny and Marcus walked through the garden one last time. Grace had fallen asleep in her father's arms, exhausted from the excitement of the evening. 10 years, Marcus said quietly. Can you believe it? Sometimes I can't believe any of it. Do you ever regret it? Any of it? Destiny thought about the question. Really thought about it. No, she said finally. Not even the hard parts. Because the hard parts made me who I am. They taught me what I'm capable of. They showed me that I'm stronger than I ever knew. You're the strongest person I've ever met. I learned from the best. She touched Eleanor's memorial bench as they passed it. Both of them. They walked in comfortable silence, listening to the crickets, feeling the warm Georgia breeze on their faces. What comes next? Marcus asked. What do you mean? The foundation is bigger than we ever imagined. Grace is growing up. We've accomplished more than most people do in a lifetime. What's next? Destiny smiled. More. There's always more. More people to help. More injustice to fight. More love to give. That sounds exhausting. That sounds like living. Marcus laughed softly. You're impossible. You married me anyway. Best decision I ever made. They reached the fountain at the center of the garden. The same fountain where years ago Marcus had proposed. The same fountain where they had stood on their wedding night dreaming of the future. I have something for you, Marcus said. What? He shifted Grace carefully and reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box. I know I already gave you a ring, but this is different. Destiny opened the box. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a pendant shaped like a pin. Eleanor's pin. The one she had given Destiny all those years ago. Ruth found it in Eleanor's things, Marcus explained. She wanted you to have it. She left a note saying it belonged to the person who brought luck back into this family. Destiny's eyes filled with tears. I can't. You can. You should. It's yours now. It was always meant to be yours. She lifted the necklace from the box and held it to her heart. I miss her so much. I know, but she's still here. In Grace. In the foundation. In everything we do. Destiny nodded. In everything we do. They stood together in the moonlight, holding their sleeping daughter, wearing the legacy of the women who had made them who they were. And somewhere in a place beyond time and tears, two women watched over them. One with silver hair and fierce eyes. one with destiny's smile and endless love. They had done their work. They had planted their seeds. And now they could rest knowing that the garden they had planted would bloom for generations to come. The next morning, Destiny woke to the sound of Grace singing in her bedroom. She smiled and stretched, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face, the weight of Eleanor's necklace against her chest. Marcus was already up making coffee in the kitchen. She could hear him talking to Grace, their voices mixing with the smell of breakfast cooking. This was her life now. Not the one she had imagined as a little girl with nothing. Something better, something earned. She got out of bed and walked to the window that overlooked Eleanor's garden. The birds were at the feeder just like every morning. The flowers were blooming just like Eleanor had planted them. And in the center of it all stood the memorial bench with a simple plaque, Eleanor Rose Whitmore, beloved mother, devoted grandmother, guardian of truth, 1942-2024. Beneath it, a smaller line. She taught us that kindness is not weakness, but the greatest strength of all. Destiny pressed her hand to the glass, feeling connected to something larger than herself. She had come so far, from nothing to everything, from servant to savior, from the woman they called worthless to the woman who built empires of compassion. And it had all started with one simple choice to protect an elderly woman when no one else would. That choice had cost her everything, and that choice had given her everything too. "Mama," Grace's voice echoed from downstairs. "Daddy made pancakes." Destiny smiled and turned from the window. "Coming, baby girl?" She walked downstairs into the warmth of her kitchen, into the arms of her family, into the life she had fought so hard to build. The girl from the wrong side of town had become the woman who changed the world. Not with money, not with power, not with fame, with truth, with courage, with an unbreakable belief that every human being deserves to be treated with dignity. That was Eleanor's legacy. That was her mother's legacy. And now it was hers. Grace looked up at her with bright eyes. "Mama, Daddy put chocolate chips in the pancakes." "Did he now?" Marcus shrugged innocently. She asked nicely. She always asks nicely when chocolate is involved. I wonder where she gets that from. Destiny laughed and sat down at the table surrounded by the people she loved most in the world. Outside, the sun continued to rise over Savannah. The birds continued to sing. The garden continued to bloom. And the story that began with cruelty and injustice ended the only way it could have ended, with love. Because in the end, that's what always wins. Not hatred, not revenge, not the people who think they can destroy others without consequence. Love wins, truth wins, kindness wins, always. Destiny. Carter. Whitmore. The girl they called worthless, the woman who saved an elderly stranger, the mother who built a legacy, looked at her family and felt her heart overflow. She had answered to her conscience. She had answered to truth. She had answered to love. And that had made all the difference. The billionaire saw his fiancée abuse his mother. The black maid did the unthinkable. She refused to look away. She refused to stay silent. She refused to let cruelty win. And because of her courage, a family was saved. A foundation was built. A legacy was created. Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear nursing scrubs. And some, the bravest ones of all, simply choose kindness when the world expects them to choose silence. That is the story of Destiny Carter Whitmore. That is the power of one person who refused to be broken. That is proof that no matter how dark the night, dawn always comes. And when it does, the light shines brightest on those who never stopped believing. The end.